live from the Cajun capital of the world.
I'm the average Lafayette, Louisiana kid.
See, I'm back on my...
Hey, fellas. Hey, Brady Review said, congratulations. Say what's up, y'all. Yeah!
People that have courage don't have no extra gene. There's no difference in you. The difference is, are you going to sit down when it's time to stand up?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to Rate and Review. I'm your boy Nicholas. We got Cole and Mike in the house tonight for what is surely going to be a spirited conversation about Diamond sports in just a bit. Let's start with my boy KG. What's going on, Big Daddy? How you doing?
We good, man. Just got back from our first T-ball scrimmage of the year, and I got to say the squad I got this year, they looking good, man. Not only are we hitting live pitching, there's only about one or two kids on the team that have to hit off of a tee, but we're not dogpiling on top of each other when they hit a ground ball. So for the first scrimmage of the year, it's a win-win, man.
That's right. You know, T-ball season is about to be in full force. Elliot in the house tonight. We got Renee chiming in. Michael Patan saying we're cursed. I don't know if we're cursed. I don't know what's going on, Mike. How are you, buddy?
Doing pretty good. How about y'all?
Well, you know, life-wise, I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Sports-wise, you know, we're in the shitter again. But hey, we'll get it out. We'll have our I guess therapy session in a bit. You know what I just learned there, Cole? We can do a poll now.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know how that works. Oh, type 1 or 2 in chat. Is Jerry a couillon? And if they type 1 or 2 in chat, then it will tally the vote. Dude, that's amazing. We're going to use that.
I love that is your first poll question, if Jerry is a couillon.
Elliot, there you go. You can't do too many ones at one time. You got to only do one or two ones. Okay.
We're gonna take full advantage of this polling later on in the episodes. I can promise you that.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. I just want to test it out to make sure it works. So we're gonna stop it. We're gonna hide it. We're gonna come back to that later because there are so many opportunities for us to to do some things with that. That'll be fun. We'll take a quick break. We'll thank our sponsors, including The Best Stop. By the way, I got to interview. It wasn't an interview. Got to speak with our boy. Gunner the other day, and so we had it just yesterday. I say the other day, we spoke yesterday, got him on the show, had a great conversation with him. Guess who his favorite boudin in Louisiana is?
Gotta be The Best Stop.
The Best Stop.
Let's
go. He even pointed to the logo. He's like, it's The Best Stop, boy. I'm like, that's my boy. He said, I noticed the logo up there. I'm like, you know how to play the corporate card. So Gunner's on board with The Best Stop. We'll thank them as well as all of our sponsors, our Patreon sponsors. When we come back, we'll get into it. We'd like to thank the following partners who make Rage and Review possible. Our title sponsor, The Best Stop Family Market, with locations in Katy and Baytown, Texas, Toledo Bend, Karen Crow, and of course the official location opened in 1986 in Scott. Visit The Best Stop and ask about the Rage and Review tailgate platters. Gulf Coast Bank, title sponsor of the Tailgate Show every Saturday, 3 hours before kickoff. Planet Radio 106.7. Lafayette Roofing. The Yard Goat. Yes Please Branding and Marketing. Old Time Grocery. Stride Safety Solutions. Eat Lafayette, brought to you by Lafayette Travel. Rage and Hydration. And Dr. Brett Venable at Recovery Chiromed. And we'd also like to thank our Patreon sponsors listed here. For only $2 a month, you too could have early access to uncut interviews before they air here on our shows. You also get an exclusive Patreon icon next to your name on Cajun Threads, the official message forum for Rage and Review. If you are interested in joining as a Patreon, visit us at patreon.com/rageandreview. Thanks to all of our corporate and Patreon sponsors for making this show possible. And to answer your question, Elliot, the name of that song is Sweet Jolene. It's Wayne Toops, Cocaine Wayne, otherwise known around the Calcasieu Parish area. Because, he had a couple run-ins with that. But I guess, sometimes nerves get you. I don't know. Maybe he needed that to perform. Anyway, we're not going to get into the Cocaine Wayne discussion tonight. That's for an after dark
no
series.
joke.
Yeah, I'm kicking it off well tonight. Boys, let's talk about baseball. We'll start with JMU. And before we get into that weekend, because obviously it was a disappointing result, but let's go back to the start of conference play for the Cajuns. So we started with South Alabama. Obviously, South Alabama, we picked up 2 wins in that series, which got us off to a nice start in conference, 2-1. Then we go to Texas State for our first real road test of the season. Failed that miserably. We had a chance on Friday night, blew that, and then it was really not competitive in the next 2 games. Then we have ULM. We lose 2 out of 3 to ULM at home. So now we're not pushing the panic button, but our finger is hovering around it. And then you felt like, okay, against James Madison, we're up 5-4 on Friday. We get that win. That was a typical win that we've seen earlier in the season. And I guess I'll pause there because you felt like, okay, things haven't been going our way the last few weeks. We're desperately needing a Friday night win. We get that Friday night win. You're feeling like it's going to be a good series. So let's talk about that first Friday night game. The Cajuns pick up a 5-4 win in Virginia. Now, let's be honest with you. We didn't get the best out of Sawyer Pruitt. I think he would say that. I think he had a really good start to the night, and then he kind of got bit a little bit in the 4th inning, but that's okay. Guess what? Our bullpen showed up, and they took care of business after that. And that's really what we need from a bullpen, is that if Sawyer gets in a bind earlier in the game, and it's going to happen with any pitcher, but especially when you're so dependent on your starting pitching on Friday night, or really any game, because we haven't been hitting the ball, and you have a dependable 1-2 punch behind him, got us off to a great start. We played our game. We got 9 hits on the night, 5 runs, played clean baseball. Our defense was solid, even though we couldn't get the win, or I should say our boy Sawyer couldn't get the win. He didn't get the loss. And that's really what has happened the past few weeks, is that he's come out and pitched a hell of a ball game and got the loss. He wasn't as sharp, earlier in the game as we would have liked to have seen this game, but he didn't get the loss. The bullpen came in. Parker Smith gets the win. Cody Brash with the save, doing Cody Brash things. You felt like it's a good start, KG. I was feeling good after Friday night.
Absolutely. I mean, we've been talking for the last couple of weeks now that you want to try to get that first win of the weekend because it sets the tone moving forward. Now, unfortunately, when you fast forward, that didn't happen. But, you go on the road to JMU, who is not as bad as they were last year. Last year, they were the bottom feeder in the Sun Belt. But you go to the JMU and you get out to a 5-1 lead. Now, this is what I don't like. You got out to an early 4-run lead, and then you had to rely on the bullpen to close the door rather than continuing to tack on runs and finish the game with a nice, comfortable victory. Now, yeah, you mentioned it just now. The bullpen did do their job on the back end. Parker Smith, again, has proven that he's going to be one of the first arms out of the bullpen. We love to see that. You could see that role solidifying itself. But that's what I didn't like out of the Friday game, out of everything. You love that you got the win. You love that you thought it was going to set the tone for the weekend. But it was more of like hanging on for that win instead of, taking that 4-run lead and extending that margin. But again, you got out of there, and I'll let Mike give his thoughts on the Thursday game. I'm just glad, at the time I was glad that we got the win, and I thought it was going to be a Kickstarter for the entire weekend.
And we had 2 home runs. That game. So you feeling kind of good about yourself. Let's see. Anything else before I go to you, Mike, anything else that stands out to me? Again, fielding was solid. We walked 8 times. We took advantage of that. I was okay with that. I don't know. I mean, nothing outside of that, nothing really stood out to me. It just felt like the kind of game that got us to the top 25 earlier in the season that we played consistently.
I agree. We were like begging all year for a Friday night win, and we finally got it. And then we didn't do so good the next two games. But even on Sawyer's bad day, he still puts us in a good situation to win games. And I thought the three combination between Sawyer, Parker Smith, and Cody Brash is a really good three combo on a Friday night. I think we should see that more often. And I think Hayden Pearson should be almost a Saturday mid reliever. But I really liked what I saw Friday, because that's what, from what we're seeing now, from the outside looking in, Parker Smith is really good middle reliever. Sawyer Pruitt's a really good starter. Cody Brash is a really good reliever. So I really thought those three guys on a Friday night was really good. We did enough to win the game. We were begging for a Friday night win, and we did it. I thought I had no issues with Friday. I thought they really did well Friday.
I agree. And then you turn the page to Saturday, and I say Saturday. Let me correct myself. That would be Friday, because our Friday night game was Thursday. So that was the Thursday night game. This is the Friday game, game 2 of the series, I should say. And that got off to kind of a rocky start, because Big Herm's in. First guy up to bat, hit by pitch, then he walks the following guy. So we're like, okay, settle down, Herm. There was a sac bunt that advanced the two runners to second and third, and then a sacrifice fly scored the first run for James Madison in the bottom of the first. And then James Madison struck again in the bottom of the third inning. After getting the first batter out, we give up a single to the next batter, and then another single right behind that. And then Schmidley for JMU stole second base, which they did. They ran on Colt all weekend. And I love Colt, but I got to tell you, they ran on him at will all weekend. That is a testament to their speed. They've stolen more bases than I think we have, if you double how many bases we've stolen this season. But they stole a base, and then there was an error on the throw, and then that scored an unearned run for JMU to put them up 2-0. Louisiana does come back. They chip away at that lead starting in the top of the 6th inning with a sacrifice fly by Dobson, scoring Lee Big Booty Amadei in that inning to go. We were only down 2-1 at that point. JMU comes back and immediately homers to answer that run. So they're now up 3-1. We come back to tie the game in the we take the lead in the top of the 8th. We were up 5-3 at that point. James Madison in the bottom of the 8th ties the game at 5-5. And then, unfortunately, we, in the bottom of the 11th, after a single to right field, there was a fielding error and a sac bunt. And then, that's basically the end of the game. James Madison walks us off in the bottom of the 11th, and that's ball game. Kind of the opposite of what we saw the night before. A little bit of back and forth. He had an opportunity to take the game at several points of the ball game, but just couldn't get it done. And you kind of felt it a little bit later in the ball game when we couldn't push runs across the plate, that it would be really, really difficult for us to win. And there's nothing else to say except this is what we've seen the last couple of weeks. KG this is the epitome of what we've seen these last few weeks.
Well, this is the disappointing thing for me. So when you got that late 5-3 lead, the team that was the first half of the season, the Cajuns that we saw, would have shut the door at the back end and you put this thing to bed. But then you give up 2 runs right away and let it get back to 5-5. Now, you gave the scoring breakdown just now, right? Of every breakdown, but the scoring breakdown of that particular game does not tell the full story. Because for the last 2 innings, JMU was begging you to take the lead. And I think we got runners to second and third in both of those final innings.
And I think at one point, the bases loaded in the top of the 11th and couldn't push a run across. That has become a theme for this ball club, is that when there's runners in scoring position, and I'm not including last night. Last night we did a decent job of getting runs in when there was runners in scoring position. But lately there could be runners on second and third with less than 2 outs, and we have an extremely hard time of getting those guys in. That JMU game on the Friday afternoon was the epitome of that exact fact. They were begging you
to take the lead going into the extra innings, and we couldn't do it. They brought in a reliever that couldn't even sniff the strike zone, and we couldn't score a run. It was an extremely disappointing loss, an extremely frustrating loss, because like I said, the opposing team was all but gifting you a lead at that point. And then, yeah, you know, the type of ball that the Cajuns usually play, small ball, you know, lay down a bunt and cause havoc, you know, make teams make errors using the bunt, came to bite us, because that is exactly what JMU did to us, right? And I'm not going to go down in detail and beat a dead horse, but that's a play that has to be made. They're giving you an out. They're just trying to move a runner over. You got to make that throw. You got to make that out and live to fight another, day. I will say this: the bright spot of that entire game is whenever I believe they had bases loaded, maybe with no outs, maybe with one. It was no outs, because we walked the batter to load the bases, and we were able to get out of it. I want to say with a double play, and then a strikeout maybe. But that's the kind of toughness you need down the stretch. But all in all, that game, like I said, JMU tried to give you that win. You did nothing to capitalize on it, and then not only that, you gave them the win by totally botching some small ball. You got to be able to play small ball defense, especially when a team is literally giving themselves up. That is not how you want to lose a ball game, especially halfway through conference.
Yeah, in the top of the ninth in that game, Amade, he grounded out. Then Rigo singled to right field and stole second. He advanced to third on the wild pitch. So runner on third, one out. They intentionally walked Spalita to get him on first so that they could it says intentionally walked. I guess it was a 3-1 count, so I don't know if ball 4 they just intentionally walked him. Regardless, they walked Spalita, so you have runners at first and third with one out. He advanced to second, and Rigo, and that was on the wild pitch, okay? Spalita advanced to second. For some reason, we sent Rigo, and there can be some debate on whether or not we should have sent Rigo. What do you think there? I mean, the book says you send him. That angle it took off the backstop, it was just unfortunate.
Bingo.
But
yeah, it's going to be the shortest backstop you're going to see all year. That backstop is extremely short, and it just took one of the most unfortunate hops ever, where it goes straight to the backstop. The catcher turns around and it bounces back to him. Rigo is a dead duck, right? You're taught dirt ball reads and pass balls. You got to go, because you're trying to take the lead, in the extra innings. So it was an unfortunate bounce. It is what it is, but that's the kind of bounce that has not been going our way literally in the second half of the season, up to this point.
But then we get a hit by pitch and a walk, so we load the bases again with 2 outs, and then Colt comes up and strikes out looking. And that drives me crazy. At least swing the bat. At least swing the bat. You get to the top of the 10th, ground out, can't lay down a bunt. While we're trying to, with Mandino up to bat, we try to lay down a bunt. He foul tips that into the catcher's mitt. So that's second out. And Noah Lewis strikes out looking once again to end the inning. And then the top of the 11th, this is the most frustrating part. This is the point where I'm like, we're not winning this game. Okay. We get Leon with a single. Rigo singles. Okay. So now we got runners at first and second, nobody out. And then there's a wild pitch and an intentional walk. So now we're loading the bases with no outs. Struck out swinging, struck out looking, fly ball to right field. And I don't even think that we attempted to lay down a bunt in that situation. Now, again, bases loaded, so that's risky, because you might risk getting thrown out at home plate, but at the same time, strikeout, fly out. At that point, you knew it was over.
Yeah,
am I right, Mike?
Yeah, I agree. The strikeout looking, to me, you're just not competing, right? Bases loaded, no outs. You strike out looking. To me, you're not competing, and you're not sacrificing yourself for the team. You have to make an effort to drive the ball the other way. You got to at least put it in play. The timely hitting late in that game was pretty bad, because both teams towards the end of the game were both getting on base, and like you said, the way we weren't driving people in, it was like a bad feeling that you knew this game was going to lose, because I think the last 2 innings they were getting guys on base, and they were also making a lot of contact. So it's like towards the end of the game, I just had a bad feeling that it was going to go south. The timely hitting and the strikeout looking, man, that's just not competing, and you're not sacrificing yourself for the team.
And then Saturday's game, the final game of the series, Cajuns lose 5-1, and I don't really know what to say about that. I mean, I don't want to go through the box score because there's no need to. Louisiana with 2 errors. That's something we hadn't seen much of the weekend. So 2 errors on the day, only managed 1 run on 5 hits. Didn't look good or comfortable at the plate. And then you had the incident with Mandino, which you thought might have fired the team up a little bit. And then you had the incident with Deggs shortly after. Unrelated, by the way. Shortly after. And you think that might get the team fired up. And we do nothing. Cole?
Yeah.
We do nothing.
I'll jump on this first. So I'm going to talk about the game, and then I'm going to talk about, obviously, the...
Well, we're going to talk about that next. We'll finish
fine.
the game, then we'll get into that.
I mean, yeah, you don't have to do too much of a deep dive into Saturday. You played a team this past weekend that had a plus 7.5 ERA. And on your getaway game, your clinch game, you muster all of 5 hits and 1 run. You can't defend that. There's nothing you can't. You can't defend that, especially, the Cajuns have an RPI of 46 and an SOS of 24. You have played so many better teams and so many better pitching staffs than James Madison. And in your getaway game, your Sunday game, where we know the Fun Belt is known for football-type scores on a Sunday, which I know it was Saturday, I'm calling it a Sunday. You mustered all of 1 run and 5 hits and were uncompetitive throughout that ball game. I mean, guys... We talked about it in last week's show. This is going to be basically the worst pitching staff you face for the rest of the year. That is the worst pitching staff in the Sun Belt that they just played this past weekend, and they basically got out-hit by JMU. And you couldn't capitalize against an ERA that was plus 7.5. I mean, what more can you say about this offense? That's what I said, a month ago. I said, guys, I don't think it's coming. I don't think we have enough in the tank that this offense is magically going to appear and we're just going to start hitting the ball enough to win games again. I don't think it's coming. But on top of that, not to dogpile too much, the offensive struggles have rolled over to the pitching side and the defense side. So now it's really starting to rear its ugly head, the offensive struggles. I really think the fact that the offense is struggling is causing the pitching and the defense to also play bad and play down to that level. So something's got to give. And I know we're going to get to it. Last night, we did some good things across the board, but again, it wasn't enough to get a win. And earlier in the season, we were doing the little things and we were doing the right things in those 1-run games to win those games. And for the past 2 to 3 weeks, we're not. We're just not playing good baseball right now. And I'm going to be honest, Saturday was the epitome of all of it. 1 run on 5 hits against a plus 7.5 ERA. That's what I need people to remember. That's abysmal, guys.
Mike, we're going to talk about the spiral of this team since we started conference play, or should I say second week of conference play. We'll get to that in a little bit. I know you're a stats guy, and I want you to bring up some stats that you've put together so far this season, because I'm interested to hear some of the numbers you have. But do you think it's a case of he thinks that the poor hitting is rubbing off on the pitching? I disagree a little bit. I think the hitting just, if anything, has not gotten, and it certainly hasn't gotten better. It may have regressed a little bit, which is hard to believe from earlier in the season. But I don't think that has bled over to the pitching side of things. I just think you usually see the pitchers a little bit ahead of the hitters with a new team like this. And then it catches up to you in conference play because, one, you have teams that you're playing that know you really well. And 2, now scouting reports from the first 5 weeks of the season have gotten out, so they know how to approach the pitchers at this point. So it makes it a little more difficult for them to fool guys at the plate. So do you think it's rubbing off, or do you think it's just a matter of our hitting is just so unreliable right now that it can't keep up with, the pitchers can't keep up with what they were doing earlier in the season? Just because you knew that would level off at some point.
No doubt. I think it's a little mixture of both, because the lack of hitting we're having, you putting so much pressure on our pitchers. But we're expecting our pitchers to shut people out because we can't hit the ball. If we can hit the ball, these pitchers would probably be way more free on the mound, and we'd be a little less acceptable of all the errors and the runs we've given up. But what's really crazy is we still have a team ERA of a 4.8, which is till this day it's pretty good, really good actually. It's just the home runs we're giving up. That is basically comes down to the home runs we're giving up. But it's the lack of hitting, and you're putting just so much pressure on these pitchers to be perfect every single inning.
And you talk about giving up all the home runs. I can tell you right now, Sandy ain't a pitching coach that's going to tell you to fish around the plate and try to hit the corners. He's going to tell you to challenge the pitchers. And I think if we were hitting, 40 points better than we are right now, we could keep up with that. If we were hitting more than 20 homers on the season, we could keep up with that. But I think again, our offensive regression at this point is so poor that you can't keep up. And when teams start going up on big hits like that, you just feel like, okay, now we got a nickel and dime our way back. And by the way, James Madison beat us at our own game. They won the series beating us at our own game. When I talked to Dave a couple days before, Dave Riggert, who's the voice of JMU. Yes, Ryan, Dave. When we talked to him the day before, he said, we're a lot similar and our team drives us crazy. And we said, we don't even know what to think of this series. Who's going to outplay the other one at their own game? JMU did that to us, KG.
Yeah, that's the most frustrating thing. And all weekend long, I had to listen. I listen to Jay and Bab on a lot of the calls, and they always do a great job. I appreciate the job that they do, especially going on the road and, covering radio for the Cajuns. They talked about repeatedly that JMU is known athletically for not caring about their baseball team. They don't charge admission, and they only average about 400 fans a game. You're dropping a series to a team that is literally known for not caring about baseball, right? They don't even charge admission to their ball games. They got I've done beat the dead horse on this, but they got a team ERA that is one of the highest in the country. That drives me crazy. You're not going to face a worse pitching staff this year, and you dropped the series to them. Like, I just don't know where we go from here, boys. I know we got a tall task coming in this weekend, and this team has showed me this year that they do play the competition. I'm hoping that is the case, because if we play the competition, maybe we'll play a little bit up this weekend. We're going to be back at home, and I know the stadium's going to be full because people want to watch Southern Miss play ball, and they're not setting the world on fire offensively. Now they do double us in home runs. We're going to get to that, the stats in a little while. But yeah, that was the most disappointing thing, Nick, is that JMU, especially on that Friday afternoon game, beat us literally at our own game. Bunting, moving people over, and guess what? The Cajuns took the bait, threw balls down the line, allowed the winning run to come in. That's the opposite of this Deggs era. We're known for doing that, not the other way around. Up to this point, we have been very sound defensively. We've hung our hat on being very sound defensively in the infield. So, all I can say is, like we've said the last 2 to 3 weeks, you kind of just wipe it clean, and you got to move on. You got to turn your attention to Southern Miss.
And I will say, without looking at stats, if you just had the eye test of JMU's pitchers, they were not good. We should have won the Saturday game, because just looking at the quality pitchers, the type of pitchers they were throwing, they're way out the zone. We could have won the series not swinging the bat. Exactly. We didn't take advantage of just weaker arms. I mean, and it's not a jab at JMU, but if you know baseball and you're watching their pitchers, especially the back end, their back end of the pitchers were not that good.
Guys, keep in mind they had 0 qualified pitchers going into last weekend. They had nobody on that roster that had thrown enough innings to be qualified in the eyes of the NCAA. We played a team with no qualified pitchers and lost a series. Cole, like, look, go ahead.
I was going to say, how many times in the past couple of seasons have we said we make bad pitchers look like Cy Young? Every time we face off against a bad pitcher, we make them look, and then you have to listen to the radio guy or the TV guy or whoever is broadcasting on the stream go, man, this guy's he's just got nasty stuff. Yeah, nasty isn't terrible. And we're making the guy look good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, I don't want to beat our boys down. You know, the team we got is who we got, and there are a lot of guys on this team that have stepped up and done some nice things for us this year. And bottom line is this: what are we now? 19-14. You're still, you know, top 64 in the RPI. You still got a really good strength of schedule at 24. As bad as we have been over the last 3 to 4 weeks, you're still in the fight. Right? Yep. Now, here's the problem. You're probably going to have to win the conference now. Losing that JMU series pretty much solidified that if you're going to make the conference tournament, which we damn well better. When you get to conference, unfortunately, you're probably going to have to win the tournament or at least win your way into the championship to maybe have a chance to make the postseason. But how frustrating is that, guys? You started the year 16-5. You were literally ranked as low as, 21, 22? And then you just literally, we say it all the time, it's a figure of speech, but they literally fell off a cliff. Like, I don't know what happened. Conference started and just a little, woo! Like Wile E. Coyote chasing the road runner.
That's why I was so big on winning as much games as we can in the front, because we know we're going to drop games in the back. But these back games are now even more crucial. We did a really good job in the first half of the season. Now we have so much pressure to win on the back end. If we could have just snuck in a few win series against a few conference teams, we wouldn't be stressing, but now we put ourselves in a bind.
But here's also what I want people to remember. Your highest left-ranked conference opponents in terms of RPI, the wins that matter that get you into the postseason, are still on the table. You got Southern Miss coming this weekend. You still got Coastal coming in. You still got a very good Arkansas State coming in. So what I'm saying is, as bad as we have been the last 3 weeks, there is still time to right the ship, but it has to happen now. If you can find a way, and we're going to get to the Southern Miss series, if you can find a way to take 2 of 3, and that's asking for a lot with the way that we played over the last couple weeks, the season really is as wild as it's been. Your first half of the season was so good that you still have enough juice left in the tank if you're able to fight on the last few weeks of this season. So, boys, that's my challenge to them. Be ready to go this weekend because it will be loud. There will be some fans, and you have a golden opportunity. You like what I did with that pun? You have a golden opportunity to get back in the fight for a postseason chance.
Well, we're going to get into the downward spiral and what it might take to get to a regional this year in a second. But I do want to go through the SELU game. I thought it was funny. And look, I will be completely honest with you. A lot of people think it hurts our feelings when they call us ULL or whatever. It really doesn't anymore. We kind of whatever. I mean, you can call us whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I just think it's so funny how insecure other schools are now. Like, y'all are still doing, okay, y'all are still doing this. That's fine. I learned that the athletic director went to the Southeastern scoreboard guy and had him change it to ULL mid-game last night. I mean, that just tells you how it's not us that's insecure. It's actually the other schools that do that kind of stuff. It's
every in-state school, Nick. But if you notice, if you watch any other game from any out-of-state school, even the Power 4 out-of-state schools, they'll call us Louisiana and UL.
Well, nobody cares. It's funny to me. Again, I don't care, but it's so funny to see other schools make a big deal out of it because nobody cares anymore. That's like 5 years ago.
You got NCAA football, EA Sports.
I don't care. I'm sad I even mentioned it because that's how much I really don't care about it. But I just thought that was funny.
Anyway.
But Southeastern with their terrible music and awful announcer. That was probably the worst streaming announcer I've heard in the history of streams. They get one on us. They beat us 7-6 in yet another game that again is the epitome of Cajuns baseball. And look, you felt good in the first inning. I mean, you got Spolita singling, getting 2 RBI after I think with 1 out in the first, and you feel okay. The boys are swinging it, and then what do? We give up a homer, and then a double scores another run in the bottom of the first. So we're like, okay, so this is why we brought Herm in, right? We brought Herm in midweek because we got to win this game. We got to give him some. And look, I don't hate the fact that we gave some guys bullpen time. That's fine. But you presented it as this is a must win. We've got to get off to a good start. We're bringing Herm in midweek. And the one thing you can't do with Herm is change his schedule. You can't change his schedule. You can't change his routine. The guy needs to pitch on Saturdays. That's what he does best at the Teague. So we bring him into a ballpark where the ball could be knocked around, and he gets knocked around. And you know, I'm not blaming the guy. They put him in a bad position, which I don't think that decision should have been made. But regardless, yeah, we look like we're doing well. Then Southeastern comes back, scores 4. We're down 4-2. We kind of claw our way back in the top of the 5th and tie it at 4. And guess what? We give up 2 the next inning to Southeastern. And then it was a little bit of back and forth in the 8th and 9th. We did score the tying run to make it 6-6 in the top of the 9th. And then what do? I don't even know what you call that. Bad news bears. Homer on the first batter on a 1-1 count. And that was it. That was the end of the ball game. Homer, just what we do is give up homers as a pitching staff. And yeah, Cajuns lose a midweek game to Southeastern 7-6. And look, no hate on Southeastern. They have a good record this season. We beat them earlier in the year. You can almost call them the Southeastern former Cajuns because they've got 3 of our former players on the team. But it's funny, KG, when players that can't hit at UL go to other teams, all of a sudden they can hit the ball. And they've got, I think I saw a funny stat on X today that their 3 former Cajuns have twice as many home runs as their entire team this year. How does that happen?
Yeah, you got Connor Cuff, Ben Robichaux, and I believe it's Luke Uhas who have combined for
No,
7.
Donkey's in South Carolina. It's somebody else on that team.
What I'm getting at though is there was a stat they took those 3.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Sorry.
And those 3 transfers combined have as many home runs as the Cajuns have currently. So that's not great. But listen, offensively, you did some decent things last night. You got double-digit hits. You scored 6 runs. Most midweeks, that will win you the ball game, but that's if you're at home. When you go on the road, it's a different story. Unfortunately, Nick, you made a good point. You took Herman, which I'm sure Herman needed to throw. He needed some bullpen time, but Herman is a creature of habit, and I've said that all year long. Herman is built for throwing Saturdays at the Teague. We know what we're getting from Andrew Herman when he takes the bump on a Saturday at the Teague. And I've also said, to be fair, that Herman is not a very good pitcher when he's away from home. He's just not. He historically has not been. And yeah, look, 1 inning pitched, 3 hits given up, 2 earned runs, 2 strikeouts, and a home run allowed. Which again, by the end of the game, we gave up 3 as a team, which puts us at 53 for the year, which leads the college baseball world. We have given up the most home runs in the country. Not great. Not a stat you ever want to lead in at any time. But yeah, we Johnny Holstaffed it after that. Tillett comes in, and unfortunately, I had said 2 or 3 weeks ago that Tillett maybe needed to move to a midweek role to get his stuff back. Well, it doesn't look like that experiment is working. Tillett comes in. I know he gave us 4 innings, but he also gave up 6 hits, 4 earned runs, a walk, 2 strikeouts, and another home run allowed. Somebody posted in here earlier, Tillett leads the country as far as individual pitchers and home runs given up at 14. I believe that was the number. But you don't want to beat a dead horse in the way that we keep bringing up the home runs given up. We keep bringing up that the offense is struggling right now. But at the end of the day, that is what's costing us ball games.
What else are we going to talk about? That's exactly what the problem is.
Yeah. So, but all in all, we did do some good things. It's just, moral victories are out the window halfway through the year. You need to find a way to win your midweeks, especially against a team that could be considered an in-state rival or is considered an in-state rival. But shout out, to a couple guys. Lee Amadei started the game off with that leadoff double, which extends his hitting streak to 13. So Lee's doing his part. Lee's silently doing great things for the Cajuns, both in the batter's box and at first base. Look at Hernandez last night. 3 for 4, 3 runs scored and an RBI. That's what we need to see from him. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. He's the straw that stirs the entire drink. He always has been this year. Now, he has gone quiet over the past few weeks. So I'm kind of calling upon him to get to get hot again, because maybe he can wake up some things. Spalita went 1 for 5, but he did drive in 3 RBIs on the night. So, he accounted for half your runs, So, Steven, great job. I know you only got the 1 hit, but you were able to move people over and get runs in. That's what matters. And then lastly, look, Noah Lewis, silently getting hits almost every ball game. Went 2 for 4 with a run scored as a freshman in center field. You love that. So, yeah, we did lose last night, but I'm hoping that it can be a jumping off point going into the weekend. Again, I'm going to say it. You got to find a way to win Friday. Even though last weekend we dropped the last 2, you got to win Friday at this point. I just don't know if I have enough faith in the entirety of this team to drop a Friday and then win the Saturday and Sunday, especially against a top 10 Southern Miss. Friday is going to be a very crucial ball game for the Cajuns.
Mike, did you agree with the pitching approach last night that we started Herm, we had Tillett, we pitched some of we ended the game with Brash, and it wasn't really, Brash gave up a home run, and you don't see that out of him a lot, but, pitchers make mistakes and good pitchers give up home runs, and that's what happened at that moment. Did you agree with the lineup that we came out with last night in Hammond?
I was extremely surprised when I saw Herm, and then we go, okay, it's a desperate win, but also I thought in the back of my mind that it's a bullpen, so I knew he wasn't going long. So okay, I get both sides. Then he has a really bad first inning. Then I saw JR, and it's not a jab at JR, but JR is going down fast. And he went from a Sunday to a midweek. Now he's not even looking like a midweek guy. So I didn't have much confidence in him. And then I was like, okay, we're going older guys, more experience, more guys that can maybe shut it down. That didn't happen the first 2 guys. Pappenbrock and Carter, they're and it's not a jab at them, but they're a hit or miss. They're going to have really good outings, and then they're going to have bad outings. And then they're going to have good outings, and it's going to go back and forth. But I thought they really did well last night. Pappenbrock only gave up 1 hit. Carter gives up 0 hits. And then Hayden Pearson. I am a huge fan of Hayden Pearson. I think he needs to have way more reps than he should. Outside of Parker Smith, him and Parker Smith should be the top 2 middle relievers that come out on Friday and Saturday. I think Hayden Pearson statistically has the best stats as a middle reliever on this roster. This dude is phenomenal. He doesn't go long outings. You might not see more than 2 innings from him, but I don't care. He's effective. He's efficient. He doesn't give up runs. And I think, opponents are batting 0.59 against him. He has a 0.77 ERA. Whether you like it or not, this guy has to be in the middle in the pack on a Friday and Saturday. Cody Brash, look, we all know Cody Brash is legit. We know he's really good. He just got unlucky. He hung the curveball. I thought he should have been pumping fastballs. I don't think they would have touched fastballs, especially at 97. I think he just got unlucky. That's part of the game. But, man, it was I'm not putting that on Cody. I thought our offense did really well enough to win the game. Outside, if you take the first 2 guys that came in, Herm and JR, our back end shut them down, which is usually complete opposite of what we're seeing this whole year. Usually we have good starters. The back end kind of gives us a little questions. But these guys shut the team down on the back end. It was JR and Herm that just wasn't sharp, gave up runs, gave up hits. At the end of the day, we don't walk a lot of people. I think we had 1 walk last night. So we're pounding the strike zone with strikes. But with that comes risk, right? The home runs. We gave up 3 home runs. So the good side is that we had 1 walk last night. The bad side is that you're throwing a lot of stuff inside the strike zone that you give the risk of giving up that home run, which we did every single game we typically do, giving up 3 home runs. But I was surprised, especially JR coming out and Herm coming out.
Let me piggyback on you, Mike. I'm glad that what you said about Pappenbrock and Carter. I actually thought they threw pretty damn well last night. Mm-hmm. But you're spot on. They are hit or miss, and they do have great stuff. It's just, Pappenbrock, and I'm gonna speak about them individually. Pappenbrock, I want to say, has as many strikeouts as he has walks on the year. Unfortunately, you can't depend on a guy like that in weekend series. Now, you're going to throw him in the midweek because you need him to get his work, and you want him to, we need to get these guys ready for deeper in the season. But yeah, Pappenbrock, he threw great last night. Like you said, 1 inning pitched, only gave up a hit, no earned runs, no walks, and 2 strikeouts. Same thing for Carter. Carter throws an inning, no hits, no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. You love that. But those two guys kind of do mirror them. They mirror each other because you never know what you're going to get out of them. Now, I would say if I had to put one of them on the mound right here, right now, I'd probably lean Carter. I think that Carter has had better outings than Pappenbrock has. But last night, both of them are really good. And we need to see more of that. But I agree with you wholeheartedly about Pearson. I don't know where Hayden Pearson disappeared for the last month of the series. That's a question only the coaching staff can answer. Maybe he was battling some stuff we don't know about. But Hayden Pearson is arguably the best lefty in that lineup. The best lefty in that entire pitching staff.
Yep.
And he went from throwing a hell of a chunk of change of innings in the early goings of this season and having some pretty damn good outings to not throwing for 3 weeks to a month. And he just disappeared, and Flanagan started getting all of his reps, which, no offense to Flanagan, I'm going to let a dead horse lie, but those two outings where he comes up and gives home runs to the first guy on a Friday night, you don't want to play the what if, but what if Hayden Pearson would have got those chances? What could have happened there? So I just think Pearson is the most reliable lefty you have coming out the pen, and yes, Cody Brash comes in, mowed down the first 2 batters, and then unfortunately hung that slider, which I'm going to say it. His slider up to this point in the season might be better than his fastball. I know he throws 97 and he's consistently around the zone, but his get-out pitch is that slider. And he has people looking silly on it. But unfortunately, that was probably the only one or maybe one of the few that he hung this season. Yeah. And the guy didn't miss. So, I'm not going to pin it on Cody Brash, especially when Cody Brash has been one of the, 3 or 4 bright spots of this entire staff all season long. Cody Brash, or what he has done this season and what he has put on tape, has the stuff to play at the next level. I'm here to tell you that, boys. You got a guy that's throwing 97 with an elite put-out slider, and you got game tape on that? So, Cody unfortunately hung a curveball or hung a slider that got put over the wall and lost you the game, but I am certainly not going to put this game on Cody Brash, especially since he's been the elite arm, one of the elite arms on this entire staff this year.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing Cody this weekend against Southern Miss. I think that'll show how good he is. Hopefully it shows how good he is. That means he had a great outing, but he's got nasty stuff, and if you see it in person, it's even nastier. Like, I don't think you really get a grip of how good his pitches are and how hard he throws. And how I call it the Monica Seles yelp. When he throws the ball with all his might, he kind of yells a little bit. That man, he's intense, and he's really, really good. So look forward to seeing him this weekend. Boys, we've talked enough about the past. Let's talk about the future. We'll get back. We didn't go into the Deggs segment yet, but we will in a little bit. But KG, let's talk about the Southern Miss Golden Eagles coming in ranked to the Teague. As always, one of the things Gunnar said, it seems like we in Southern Miss kicked off like an instant rivalry when they came into the Sun Belt. So you expect there are going to be a lot of fans out this weekend, despite how we've been playing lately. And even though the results aren't what we've wanted it to be, I think Southern Miss has kind of had some of the similar struggles offensively. Not to the magnitude that we have in the recent weeks, but they're not where they want to be offensively. Talk about the Southern Miss Golden Eagles and what we have to look forward to this weekend.
Yeah, so they're going to come in number 10 in the country, 24-9 overall, 7-5 in the Sun Belt. And I always like to give this stat when teams come to the Teague. Playing away this season, they are 7-5. So they do have a respectable record playing away from Hattiesburg. Their RPI currently sits at 13, as does their SOS. So this is a damn good ball club. This is a top 10 ball club. And like I said, this is a springboard weekend to get the Cajuns right back in it if we show up to the ballpark and take care of business. Let's talk about their offense. They're going to be led by their second baseman, Kyle Morrison, who, if there was a triple crown, he can one-up you because he has the quadruple crown. He leads the team in batting average at .358. He leads the team in hits with 43, leads the team in home runs with 10, and RBI with 31. And I'll even give you one more. He leads the team in on-base percentage with .469. This kid is the real deal. I would say he's probably the front runner for the Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year right here, right now. So Kyle Morrison is the end-all, be-all when it comes to this Golden Miss offense. But I'll keep going down the line. You're going to see in center field Joey Urban hitting .325 on the season. In left field, you'll see Davis Gillespie hitting .317, and then you'll see shortstop Seth Smith hitting .317. That is the only 4 4 qualified guys on this team that are hitting above 300. Like you mentioned, Nick, they're not setting the world on fire offensively, but they are hitting a notch higher, a notch or two higher than the Cajuns are currently. I'm going to keep going. At first base, you'll see Matthew Russo, who's hitting 286. In right field, you'll see Ben Higdon hitting 270. At third base, you'll see Dre Barrett hitting 262. Behind the plate, you'll see Tucker Stockman, who is a damn good defensive catcher, by the way. He's hitting only 195 on the season. And then at DH, they've been using Gray Eubanks lately. Out of all unqualified hitters, he leads the team with a 270 average. Now, take that DH with a grain of salt because Caleb Stelly, folks, is coming back into Lafayette, and I would be surprised if we do not see him in the DH spot or maybe even in the outfield for one of those ball games. That is Caleb Stelly. Yeah, former Raging Cajun. Yeah, you don't know him. Well, you'll see him this weekend. I'm sure you'll hear the fans hollering at him as well. So, like I said, I'm expecting to see Caleb this weekend. He's only hitting 186 on the season. Not doing all too hot away from Lafayette, Louisiana. But let's do the comparison stats offensively because I know the fans love that and I love that. The Southern Miss Eagles are going to come in hitting 275 on the season. For comparison, your Cajuns are hitting 249. Runs scored up to this point, the Golden Eagles have 201. Cajuns are sitting at 172. Hits given up, hits this year. The Southern Miss Eagles have 300. The Cajuns have 266. Doubles. They have hit 54. This is a stat that the Cajuns actually beat them at. They have 54. We have 61. So Cajuns a little bit higher tick when it comes to going gap to gap. But here's the thing that scares me, Nick, and we talked about it for the last month and a half or so. Southern Miss, as much as they're not setting the world on fire, has 40 home runs this year. Cajuns are only sitting at 20. So they double us in that category, and with a pitching staff that is number 1 in the country of giving up home runs, that kind of makes me, oh boy, here we go. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. Let's see, slugging percentage, Southern Miss is at a 444, Cajuns are at a 374. Walks to this point, the Southern Miss Eagles have drawn 157 walks, Cajuns have drawn 132. Strikeouts to this point, they have struck out a little bit more than us, they're at 256. Cajuns are sitting at 242. And on-base percentage, which is something that I greatly pay attention to, as a team, USM has a 381 on-base percentage, Cajuns are sitting at 359. And lastly, this is the most staggering statistic that I always end with. The Southern Miss Eagles, the top 10 Southern Miss Eagles, only have 7 steals on the season. The Cajuns have 59. So that is the most staggering difference of those ball clubs. They are not going to run on us this weekend, and if they do, it will be very few and far between. So that's a little bit of a rundown of their offense. I'll throw it to you and Mike, and then we'll cover their pitching staff in a little bit.
Yeah, and by the way, if you haven't noticed, we have this new little feature which allows us to do polls. Type 1, 2, 3, or 4 in chat to give your answer on how many games do you think the Cajuns win this weekend. Elliot is the only voter so far, but chime in here. He thinks we will not win a game this weekend. But Mike, your thoughts offensively? Do you think? I mean, again, it's hard to look at another team on either their offensive or defensive side or their pitching and say, oh, we match up really well, because whoever we match up well with, we seem to do the opposite of what we're supposed to do. Now, based on their hitting right now at 275, which is considerably better than the Cajuns, you feel like you have an opportunity to pitch well, hopefully hold the ball in the ballpark at the Teague and make things happen that way. But, you have a guy like Morrison who's going to hit the ball and he's going to get his hits and he's going to get his shots. You just try to contain him a little bit if you can and limit the damage that he can do by not allowing base runners ahead of him. Your thoughts about how their offense matches up against our pitching staff?
Yeah, I think, are they good? Absolutely. Do they have flashy offensive stats? Not as much as you think. They're 9th in batting in the conference. They're 12th in doubles. So they're not going to hit a lot of doubles, a lot of slugging. They're 4th in home runs, so they will hit a little long ball. They're 6th in slugging, 9th in strikeouts, 11th in on-base percentage. If I'm pretty confident in Sawyer. I think Sawyer will limit the offense that they produce. I think what we need is the middle of the pack and the end of our pitching staff to step up, because they're obviously a little better offensively, defensively, and on the mound. I think we just really, luckily we're at home, so I really think we just have to really have good command on the mound. We have to have guys that'll step up on the mound, and we just got to have guys that'll show up offensively. Like I think playing Southern Miss, I think there'll be a little more in the dugout, if you know what I'm saying, just because of Southern Miss. I think the past is the past. I think Friday night what we'll see is hopefully a different Cajuns team that we've been seeing. I do think I think there's just going to be a little more emphasis, a little more power, entertainment in this series from our guys at the plate. But they are good. They got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that are batting over 300. We got one guy, and he's elite. He's leading the team at 345. So to be honest, we're just going to have to play perfect, well-rounded, complete ball to take this team down. Will it be hard? Absolutely. I think it absolutely starts on Friday with Sawyer. I'm confident with Sawyer. He just has to have some support and then hopefully try to steal 2 this weekend.
And I think that's what was leading me and I guess Cole into the pitching discussion, is because I think our pitchers have to step up this weekend because we have to match the intensity of what Southern Miss is bringing on the mound. And they have a really, really solid pitching staff. So I think and I don't know if I don't know if their pitching rotation has been announced for the weekend. I would assume Allen's going on Friday. Has that been announced yet?
No, Allen actually has not been in their weekend rotation for the past few weeks. He is now.
Oh, I thought he has been back in the rotation. No?
Nope.
Okay.
I'll give you that in a second, but I want to say this first. Guys, they have 13 pitchers on their staff that have a lower ERA than what we saw last weekend at JMU. They have a stable of pitching at Southern Miss. This sheet is as long as a football lineup, boys, and these are all pitchers, all of them. And like I said, they only have 2 pitchers on their roster that have a sub 7.5 ERA. Two out of the freaking 20 of them right here. It's wild. But yeah, I'll go through the projected pitching staff. Like I say, I always take it from the last 2 weeks. I always look at what a team did the last 2 weeks and put it on paper for you guys. I'm expecting to see Graydon Harris on Friday. That's been their Friday guy the last few weeks, if not all season. He has a 3.5 ERA, a 1.26 WHIP, and he's 5-1 on the season. 8 appearances, 8 games started, and his batting average against is 275. So a respectable batting average against, not setting the world on fire. You're going to be able to put the ball in play. But yeah, I'm at the point, like you said, Mike, you got to go pitcher for pitcher this weekend, starter for starter, because you're gonna need a pretty much superhuman effort to take down a team like this, right? This is a team that, other than they're not setting the world on fire offensively, that's a damn good pitching staff, no matter how you dice it. And their pitching staff against our offense is not ideal. So yeah, let's move forward to Saturday. Saturday, you'll probably see Camden Sundstrom. He has a 2.77 ERA, a 1.21 WHIP. He's 2-2 on the season, and has a 0.265 batting average against. On their Sunday, lately they've been going to Thomas Crabtree. He has a 6.64 ERA, so on the bottom, on the lower side of their staff, a 1.72 WHIP, 0-2 on the season, and a 300 batting average against. That is my only question mark, is will they stick with him on Sunday, because he hasn't really been effective on Sundays for them. But like I said, I'm going off of the past 2 weeks, and that was their Sunday starter the past 2 weeks. Now, let me give you some bullpen guys that you definitely can bank you will see on either Friday or Saturday. When they go out the pen, Friday night, they're going to Josh Ock. Josh Ock has a 2.7 ERA, a 1.03 WHIP, 3-0 on the season, 16 appearances, no starts, but he does have 2 saves, and his batting average against is 181. So that is their stopper. That's their go-between guy that bridges that gap between him and the closer. And I guess I might as well bring in the closer, and that's going to be Camden Clark. 0 ERA, a 0.6 WHIP, 5-0 record, 15 appearances, 5 saves, and a 0.119 batting average against. His 0 ERA ain't because he ain't pitching. It's because he is an elite arm in that staff. If you see Camden Clark coming in the ball game and the Southern Miss Eagles are winning it, there's a very damn good chance they're going to end up getting out of there with a W, because that man does not give up anything. So I'm going to keep going, though. A second out of the bullpen will be Colby Allen. Colby Allen has been pitching out of the pen lately. He has a 3.29 ERA, 1.49 whip, 3-1 on the season, 11 appearances, 5 starts. Like I mentioned, he was a starter early in the season and has been brought back into a bullpen role, and he has a .285 batting average against. And lastly, you'll see J.W. Armistead, 3.86 ERA, 1.37 whip, 1-0 on the season, 16 appearances, no starts, 1 save, and has a .205 batting average against. Let's get to the comparison stats. I'll throw some eye-opening stuff, and then we can talk about this bullpen, this staff, who I believe is leading the Sun Belt by a pretty decent margin. Like I said, boys, we have a tall task offensively. Southern Miss comes in with a 3.75 ERA. The Cajuns, for comparison, is at a 4.88 whip. Basically identical. 1.32 USM, 1.31 Cajuns. So we got a .01 advantage right there. Saves on the season, the Eagles have 10, Cajuns have 7. Hits given up to this point, 272 for the Eagles, 264 for the Cajuns. Earned runs against, 120 for the Eagles, 162 for the Cajuns. Walks allowed, 107 Eagles, 127 Cajuns. Strikeouts to this point, and this is pretty eye-opening. 320 Eagles, 312 Cajuns. This is one of the only teams this year that have struck out more batters than the Cajuns have. That's one thing as a staff that the Cajuns do very well, and the Eagles do it a notch better than we do. Home runs allowed, they've only given up 24. Cajuns have given up a NCAA leading 53. And then batting average against, 249 for them and 237 for us. So, yeah, they lead us in some stats. We have them in a couple as well. The one that I look at the most is batting average against. We're a point higher than them in that regard. So, but like I said, that's why I'm thinking that it's going to be starter for starter this weekend. It's going to be pitch for pitch, inning for inning. You got to stay in the fight if you're a starter on this team. I need Sawyer, I need Herman, and I need Ty Roman to stay in the fight, because these starters are going to come ready for play. They're not a top 10 ball club by a fluke. They're a top 10 ball club because their pitching staff got them to that point, and their offense is doing enough, to get them the runs they need to win ball games. So stay in the fight. The starting pitching is going to be the premier point of this this entire weekend, and I'm really looking forward to a bunch of pitching matchups. I think we're going to see a lot of ball games that are going to be 3-2, 4-3, 5-4. I would be surprised if any of them got into the double digits.
Oh, Cole, don't say that. Because we do the most unconventional things. When we do shit we're not supposed to do, when we don't do shit we're supposed to do, and it drives all of us crazy. I think going into Sunday, we're all going to be pulling our hair out. Now, whether we're winning and pulling our hair out or losing and pulling our hair out, I think it's going to be a very frustrating weekend for us, and maybe Southern Miss fans too. I think I don't know what to think. It's kind of like going into the JMU series where I was like, I don't know what to think because these two teams are so alike. I don't think Southern Miss and we are so alike. I think we have a lot of similarities, but as far as being so alike, I think their pitching staff is way ahead of us as we look at it now. But I think our pitching staff matches up well with their hitters if we don't give up the long ball. If we don't serve up a long ball, I think we'll be fine. But so I'm feeling good about that in the team. Now, does that mean I think we're going to win the series? I'm very... obviously looking at the what we have as far as the poll goes, our fans don't have a whole lot of confidence in us winning a game this weekend. My prediction is we win 1 out of 3, but it's good. I think we're going to be frustrated regardless, Cole. I think it's just going to be a frustrating, grinding it out type of weekend. If it goes our way, we'll be happy. If it doesn't, then we'll be pissed off like we were last week.
But this is the kind of series that we end up winning. That is what the frustrating thing is.
I think that's what's pissing me off, is because I think it might. Honestly, I'd love to win the series. I want to win the series, but yeah. I think it would piss me off if we win the series, because it's like this is the epitome of this team. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know what you're getting from day to day.
Well, and that's why I said earlier, I've already got the vibe from this team that we played a competition. Early in the season when we were playing upper tier teams and beating upper tier teams, we were playing a competition. In this middle part of the season where we're playing lower level Sun Belt teams were playing the competition and dropping games. And like I said, we're getting back into that part of the season where you're going to start playing high RPI, upper level Sun Belt teams. Don't be surprised if you see that swing come back up and the Cajuns play the ball that is more reminiscent of what you saw early in the season. Yeah, it's absolutely frustrating. But, and I'm going to quote our boy, JT, John Taylor. Give the boys some grace. It's a marathon. It ain't a sprint. And the marathon ain't over. We still got a large chunk of it left. We got a third of it left. And to be fair, like I said, the third that you have left is against a lot of good teams that can get you right back into the postseason conversation. So, yeah, this weekend is huge. It's going to be fun. I'm not even talking about from a baseball standpoint. It's going to be so fun from a fan standpoint because we have a lot of back and forth with USM. But most of it is fun. Like, it's a fun rivalry. Like, nothing's in bad blood.
Notice there hasn't been a lot of back and forth this week because we're all kind of aggravated with our teams right now.
Well, for sure. I want to tell one quick story. So 2 years ago when they came to Lafayette and DeBarge did his thing and, hit a home run. Kyle DeBarge was the Eagle killer that weekend. Keep in mind that was also the weekend where the Voodoo played their one and only game at the Blackham. And you'd be surprised how many Southern Miss fans after that Saturday game came with Cajun fans to the Blackham and had the time of their lives. We sat around some Southern Miss fans that said, this is awesome. He's like, it's hard to hate Cajun people whenever you get to see it firsthand, like outside of a baseball field where it's two rivals going at it. They had the time of their freaking lives watching some podunk, football, kicking it off the goddamn top of the Blackham Coliseum, watching, padding fall down off the sidelines.
You've never been out of Hattiesburg. Like, what
well,
else do you know?
I'm not going there. What I'm saying is that the rivalry off the field is so fun because the two fan bases know how to have fun together at a tailgate. Like, when you take all the X's and O's out of it, we're pretty similar in terms of people, and that's what's made the rivalry automatic out the gate. Because Southern Miss, they've been in the Sun Belt a few years now, but even in their very first year, that was an automatic rivalry for the Cajuns out the gate, and it's just because we're so similar. Athletic departments are so similar. We play the same style of ball across almost all sports. So this is a fun rivalry, man. There's a reason that we get up for a Southern Miss series and not a ULM series, no offense to them. It's just that, I don't know. It's because you want to play competitive teams on a yearly, annual basis, and that's what we get in this weekend at the Teague Boys. It's going to be fun on and off the field.
And plus, they're cocky, so I think that automatically set us off when they came. Like, who the hell do you think you guys are? But hey, with Louisiana Tech coming in the conference, I think we'll have a common opponent, and that may lessen up a little bit. Mike, your thoughts about the pitching, the weekend, your comments in general?
I agree. I think what's unique about this series is that each team is desperate to win in their own way, if that makes sense. We're desperate to get back on track. This is a huge RPI for us, but also they're a top 10 that, hey, we still have a high RPI for us also. So them beating us helps them tremendously. And also they want to go up in the Sun Belt standings. Obviously they want to go up in the rankings. They're probably trying to host. So it is unique about how both ball clubs are desperate to win in their own ways this weekend. And I think this being a huge rivalry, thank God we're at home. I think that'll help us tremendous because I think we're going to draw a big crowd. But I think it's just that's what's weird about this series is that it is so unique how both teams are desperate to win in their own separate ways. And I really think I'm hoping we'll see a different ball club for us when it comes to this series, because I do think every time we play Southern Miss, there's always more to it. And it's not like, to me, it's not bad blood. It's just a huge rival. I think both teams are really at the top of the Sun Belt year in, year out, and they both want to beat up on each other. I just think it's going to be a fun matchup, and I'm just hoping we could steal two. I think stealing two this weekend would change the trajectory of our season.
I think it's unfortunate. Sorry, Cole. I want to make one comment real quick. I think it's unfortunate. Southern Miss is not going to host another regional. And I think that's unfortunate. And even though, look, Cole, you're looking away. They don't have an Applebee's, and they'll never host another regional. Tennessee reported them to the NCAA for not having an Applebee's. They'll never do it again.
Jesus
never do it
Christ,
again.
Nick. You are the king of picking fights in the weirdest places, bro.
Well, I'm not really picking a fight. I think that's actually funny.
Oh, it's super funny.
Because they were yelling about them not having an Applebee's.
By the way, it's at Go Nick at X if you want to start a fight about them not having an Applebee's in
Hattiesburg. We're not fighting
Hattiesburg.
about it. I'm laughing with them at it because whatever, Cole. Go ahead.
I know exactly what you're doing. But no, man, I'm excited to get to the ballpark. I mean, is it 6:00 tomorrow night already? Can we just like fast forward to just get to the ballpark? It's one of those games that no matter how bad you have played the last 3 weeks, you're still excited to get to the ballpark on Friday night because it's Southern Miss. It's a top 10 team, and it's a team that, you're excited to watch the Cajuns play against because we know what we have. Like, I know it's there. It's just disappeared the last couple weeks, and I'm hoping that I'm right in my assessment that we played a competition because if we truly do, we will show up this weekend. Now, you can't get swept. That's the one thing that cannot happen if you're the Cajuns. You can't get swept. I personally think we'll take one this week if I'm being very fair and honest. If you take two, that's great. That means that if you can take 2 of 3 at home against a top 10 team in the country, that means you got enough in the tank to do what you want to do for the rest of the year. I need the team to start believing in themselves again, right? But like you said, Nick, or maybe you, Mike, those RPIs are not that far off. It's 13 and 42 if I'm right. So as long as neither team gets swept or neither team sweeps, the window is not going to really shift all that far. Yep. So like I said, I'm counting on 1. 2 would be phenomenal. 3, I'm not going to go there. We'll cross that bridge on Sunday if we even sniff 3. How about that, boys?
Are you going to go streaking again if we get 3 wins at KG?
It is the Boudin Festival in Scott, Louisiana.
Oh,
don't tempt me.
I don't want to see you Boudin. I don't want to see you Boudin, bro.
What's funny, what's unique about this is that both pitching staffs are at the top of the Sun Belt. So we might see a pitching duel between these two ball clubs this weekend. They're first in strikeouts, they're second in ERA.
If we keep the ball inside the ballpark.
No, I really want to challenge this team. Don't give up 1. Don't give up 1 this weekend. Just don't give up 1. And us try to get 1 to 3 this weekend. That's all I'm asking.
I don't even need a home run, man. I just want doubles up the gap. I want big booty specials going, all around the ballpark. That's what I want.
Keep the ball in the park. That's the main thing this weekend.
You know how much money the university could make if they had a combo of some sort called the Big Booty Special? Like some nachos and cheese and a drink. Big Booty Special, $4.
The Big Booty League combo.
One more thing, Nick. I know a lot of Southern Miss fans are tuning into us because whether they like it or not, they do watch our stuff. I want to invite y'all to the Section 8 tailgate on Saturday. That is a tailgate for...
You don't. We don't. No.
Yes,
no.
I
Those
do.
people are...
Cat, they are invited.
A traitor.
They are invited, Cat. We do that. We do the Saturday tailgate for the player parents, for our fans, for your fans. If you want to come by the tailgate, look for the big flags, not far down the entrance, down the first base line. It's some real Cajun food that you'll be eating. It saves you from going to a fast food place for lunch or something. Come hang out, bring your beer. It really is fun. We got good music, good friends, and it's an open invite, baby.
And
I'm
sorry. I almost spit my drink out from both Matt and RC. But what are y'all cooking this weekend that I missed?
I do not have the menu yet. I actually see.
Okay.
Hold on,
I missed it.
I got BJ in the comments right here. BJ, if you're listening, please go ahead and type in what we have going on this weekend. 20 wins is a joke for the Section A group. I'm not going to say why. It's a big time inside joke. I'm not going to say why it's an inside joke. It does involve Pop-Tart and BJ though. We're going to go ahead and leave it right there. But yeah, BJ, if you're still listening, go ahead and comment what we have on the menu. But again, the Southern Miss fans that are making the trip, please come see us around lunchtime Saturday. It really is a fun time. You'll get to meet some of us and pass a good time.
Pop-Tarts and BJs. I mean, welcome to Rage and Review, man. We got Boudin running around. We're talking about streaking. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's wild times at your Raging Cajuns Athletics. We got to make our own fun.
Hey, man. He just answered. We got a crawfish bowl. My Hattiesburg people, come on and pass, baby.
BJ, after you're done soaking it for a while, y'all are going to go ahead and dust those, right? You're going to do it the right way. I'm just saying. You gotta do that the right way. I'm just
And also we forgot to mention Deggs will not be there Friday.
Deggs will not be there Friday, and we'll talk about why in a second, because I really want to dive deep into that, and I want to get everybody's reactions as far as the listeners and the people who are watching, because I know, I mean, that went viral, so that's awesome. So I do want to spend a little more time on that. But before we do, I want to talk about the spiral after Texas State, and we all talked about it. This is one of the most bizarre things I've seen being a Cajuns fan for a really, really long time. I've seen teams like last season where we just could never get going. I've seen that during the Robe era. I've seen that obviously last season. I've seen where we started off slow and got better. I've not seen us get to a point where we're ranked and then totally collapse. And I'm struggling to understand the reason why. And I'm going to go back to Big Cheese. I'm going to go back to, I'm not going to say I think we were overrated earlier in the season. That's almost a derogatory term, because I think we have the talent on this team. We've shown that we can beat really good teams in crucial situations. And it's proven at the front half of the season. We beat teams that are high in the RPI, and we played a really tough schedule, and the Q2 and the Q1 wins and all this stuff played in. But then you get to conference second week of the season and you lay an egg and you never recover. And I'm struggling to understand understanding that baseball is a game-to-game, day-to-day type of thing, you regress so dramatically so quickly. And you could say, well, it's because we got ranked and it got to their head, but typically that happens. You drop out and you start, you kind of pick up from there. But we dropped off and we never recovered. And a lot of that is mental, I think. But at the same time, this is, again, when you're looking at small sample size, now it's a big sample size, because we have last year, we have this year. And I'm leaning on you guys to help me give your perspective on how you think we got here, because, and Bryson here saying we overperformed. I don't think we overperformed. I think we performed better than other teams at that time, but those other teams also got better as the season went on, and we did not. And why are we not getting slightly better?
So,
KG,
yeah,
I see your gears going.
I'm chomping at the bit for this one. We absolutely caught some good teams at good times, right? We caught some high-powered teams at a bad time, and there's an argument to be made. You could have won the very first series of the year against Missouri State. We ended up dropping a very disappointing second game in that one. See, that's how far it is back that I'm starting to forget. But yeah, you caught some good teams at a bad time, and that's not you did what you were supposed to do, is what I'm getting at. We have the talent on this team to be a postseason ball club. Individually, there's guys on this team that do a lot of great things individually. But what we did early in the year that we're not doing now is playing complementary ball. Early in the season, we were pitching well because we were doing enough offensively to give our pitchers a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a cushion. Mike, you said it earlier. Every time our bullpen comes in now, it's a pressing situation because we can never build a lead. Or if we build a lead, we're known to give it right back up, if not the same inning, the next inning. So that builds over time. That stress builds over time. I think we have just lost the sense of playing complementary baseball, right? And I'm talking about all three phases. And I said this earlier in the show. I really do think our offensive woes have carried over to the pitching and defense side. You got to remember, the same guys that swing the bat are the same guys that are playing in the field. So these errors that are kind of stacking up, the old saying is you're never supposed to take your at-bat into the field. It's a saying. You want that to be true, but it's not always true. I mean, I know a ton of guys that are always between the ears. They're hell of baseball players, really good baseball players, but if they do something poor offensively, they are going to take that into the field, unfortunately. And I just think that trend is starting to snowball. As far as the pitching goes, it's no longer complimentary because you can't show up to the ballpark and expect your pitching staff to hold every team to 1 or 2 runs. It's just not sustainable. It's not doable. You need a little offensive production. Even the games like the other night, for example, against Southeastern, right? You score 6, but you give up 7. And that's disappointing because you feel if you score 6 on a midweek, you should win. But at the same time, where was that 6 runs last weekend? So We got to get back to playing complimentary ball. Perfect weekend to do so. I'm just hoping. I'm willing to wash everything away. You got off to a hot enough start that your season is not over. I still believe, like I said earlier, that we will have to eventually end up winning the tournament or getting very, very deep into it to make it at large. But if you're able to win, this series against Southern Miss and, later on against Coastal and in the Arkansas States, we have enough high quality opponents left in the chamber to get there. So, but to answer your question, Nick, that's been the most frustrating thing is that we've absolutely got away from playing complementary ball, and small ball is a part of that. I really feel like we've gone from playing aggressive small ball, like using the bunt for a base hit. Now we're using bunts to basically play from behind and just move people over. I want to see us start to create havoc and make teams throw the ball around the yard again. When we were winning games and we were 16-5, that's what we were doing well. The game against LSU is a key point. We laid 3 bunts down in that game and they threw 2 of them away. Why did we get away from that? So I need to see the Cajuns have fun, play loose, play hard, and just start playing small ball again. Start just having fun and stop pressing yourself to death, because it is a fun game and there is a lot of season left.
And stop making stupid base running mistakes. And that's on the runners and the coaches. Like stop doing the stupid stuff stop getting picked off at
picked
first.
Off. Please.
By a guy who has a terrible pickoff move.
Please stop getting picked off. There's no excuse for it.
The last thing we should be worried about is guys getting picked off.
No
That
kidding.
should be the last thing we should be worried about, and we're getting picked off.
I made a joke last weekend that some of the guys on this team, and I'm not naming names, need to do like they do in slow pitch softball at Pelican Park, and you need to stand on the bag until the ball is hit. Because there are multiple guys on this team that have gotten picked off 3, 4, 5 times this season. That can't happen in college baseball. Maybe high school baseball. I don't even know any kids in high school baseball that got picked off that much. I know we're trying to be aggressive and steal bags, but if it's at the expense of costing you outs on the base path, we gotta dial that shit back.
I agree. But to capitalize on what Cole said, we did capitalize on a lot of big teams early in the season, the wins we got against those teams. And then also to piggyback that, like the scouting report's out. So everybody, every D1 team and coaches that we're playing against, they have so much scouting reports on these guys. Like some of these coaches get paid to figure you out. That's why you see such big shifts, which we have gotten beat on a few shifts lately. If we think about it, we got beat twice on 2 shifts last night. These D1 coaches are paid to figure you out. As a pitching coach, assistant, recruiting, they got to position guys. They have to figure you out. So, for instance, Blaze, and it's not a shot at Blaze. Blaze is phenomenal. But also, he is now batting .222. It's not because he didn't lose a stick. I think coaches and teams are just figuring him out. They're finding his weakness. If you look at Donovan LaSalle, if he gets late in counts, if you throw him off speed below his knees or outside and away, he's not effective. So now these coaches, especially Donovan, he's going to see a lot of off speed. He's going to see off speed below his knees. He's going to see a lot of off speed below and away in that zone. So these D1 scouts they're paid to figure out. Now we're 100 something at bats in, all the reports out. And then also our hitting. It basically comes down to our hitting has to step up a little bit.
But Mike, I'm going to back up because you made a great point. Coaches are paid for analytics. They're paid for these scouting reports. They're paid to make adjustments. But we never see, this is the second year in a row, where are our adjustments? Why is somebody not working? And they may be, but whatever they're telling our hitters, it's not registering because they're not making the adjustment at the plate, Mike.
I thought about that all day today too. Like especially when you said adjustments, we give up so many home runs. Why are we not making adjustments on that side of the game? Home runs, the amount of home runs we're giving up. Why are we not adjusting? Is it because of certain pitches in certain counts? Is it throwing pitches in certain zones? Are we not attacking their weakness?
Is it because of micromanagement by someone outside of being the pitching coach? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying, is it that?
I'm going to tell you my take on it. It's because Sandy's philosophy is to basically pound the zone and not allow teams to beat you by the walk, right? So the thing is, that's a great philosophy. I agree
Right.
with. I hate losing games because you're walking people. But at the same time, and I brought this up on past shows, if it's to the detriment of giving up over 50 home runs halfway through the season, yeah, there is an adjustment that has to be made there.
Yep.
You can't just split the plate middle. And I'm not, and I hate saying this because I want teams to beat us by hitting the ball. I really do. I don't want to just walk around the bases like a carousel.
Yep.
But giving up 50 home runs and we're only halfway through the season is really bad in D1
Now, look,
baseball.
I'm not defending anybody by what I'm about to say, but I'm just stating a fact. There are several pitchers who were very highly regarded that were coming to UL that decommitted and recommitted somewhere else. And that happened when Gunnar left as part of the process. You know, that's what happens in recruiting. That's what happens when coaches leave. I want to see Sandy with his pitchers next year. And then we can have the conversation if he has the right approach. His resume and what I've seen from him so far tells me he's definitely the right guy. And he is awesome.
Let's say
but
this.
I want to see him with his pitchers in his system. And I think you're going to see a difference there next season. I really do.
I hate playing the what if game, but
Yeah.
with this staff, if you cut these home runs in half, you see completely different numbers. The home runs are the only true bugaboo of this staff.
Yep.
Right? Because the ERA is pretty damn good. You're still at 4, under 5. That's great as a whole staff. You're still striking out at a very high clip, striking out batters. I think we have 312 strikeouts to this point. That's amazing. That's awesome. We might be a top 3 in the conference behind Southern Miss. But yeah, the home runs is the problem. You cut that in half, and this is a completely different ball club.
But I also think, but before you go, Mike, I also think you can coach attack the zone, but also don't hang, a breaking ball chest high and let the guy just swing it like a freaking, don't serve him up is what I'm saying. You can still attack the zone, but it seems like their mistake pitches are way above and beyond what we've seen in recent years. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Well, just to talk about all that, we still as a whole pitching staff, we have a 4.8 ERA. Opponents are batting 237. They're not hitting us. You eliminate the home runs. We have a complete pitching staff. The only thing is that we give up the home run and then we bounce back with an out. So it's like we give up tremendous amount of home runs, but also they're batting 237 against us. That's not good. So they're not batting. They're not hitting our pitchers. We're just giving up the long ball, and it's by a lot. It's not even close.
With 2 outs, by the way, which is even more frustrating.
And I want to say one more thing, and I know that we've given the offense a lot of hate lately, but I do want to say this. How many times have we seen this year, and last weekend was an example, where the offense does take a lead, and then the pitching staff gives it right back with a 2-run, 3-run home run. So at the same time, that's what I'm getting. That was my point of playing complementary baseball. We've got away from it. Early in the season, when we took a lead, the bullpen was able to come in and shut the door, right? But now it feels like it's just not there. We're not playing a cohesive unit of baseball, and we need to get back to it. But I keep going back to it. Southern Miss. It's going to be a fun weekend, and it's a real opportunity. It really is. Like, this is a true opportunity to get back in the fight. And I challenged my team, especially tomorrow night, with Sawyer Pruitt on the mound. By the way, this group of freshmen that Deggs and Sandy have brought in with arms like, Sawyer Pruitt and Hayden Pearson, and I know there's more young arms in the staff. We got some damn good freshman arms in this team. So, but Sawyer Pruitt's going to be first out the gate with a golden opportunity. I say it again, to show his stuff, because I think by the end of the year, we're going to see him on that list as a freshman All-American.
Just eliminate the first inning runs. I think we have 9 or 10 games where we've given up at least 1 or more runs in the first inning. Let's just try for 3 games, try to go 3 or 4 innings without giving up a run. We give up way too many runs in the first inning.
I agree. All right, let's talk about fun stuff, which includes Matt Deggs and his viral meltdown at JMU. When I saw it happen live, I was like, oh, God, man, now we're showing our ass again. Here we go, typical stuff. But the more I thought about it, and then you heard Deggs talk about it, I'm going to be the first one to admit I wanted to see fire out of Deggs for the last 2 seasons. I've been saying it. I've been like, why is he lollygagging his way around? Oh, well, I saw a lot of good things in this game when we get our ass kicked 19-2 and all this stuff. And I'm like, where's the Matt Deggs that's a bulldog? That's the leader that's pissed off, that's mad. And I was like, well, now you're being a hypocrite, because that's the Matt Deggs that you've wanted to see for 2 seasons. And now that you're seeing it, now you're pissed off that you're seeing it. So which one do you want? Do you want the pissed off Matt Deggs, or do you want the guy who's laid back and easygoing? Now, I understand Coach is a lot different behind the scenes than he is in public, and he'll say things publicly, but then go, ape shit on the players during the week. I understand that. But I got to tell you, after taking some time watching it, being embarrassed at first, letting it soak in, that's the head coach that I want to be there and defending our guys. And it's like he said, so many guys hang out on Twitter, which is not real life, by the way. And I think he made a really good point this week in saying, on social media, you can say what you want behind a fake profile or not even a fake profile. You say what you want with no repercussions. And then when somebody comes at you in real life, you don't know what to do. Notice none of the JMU folks knew what to do. When he came after them, they didn't know what the hell to do. And everybody was like, oh, they're just standing around looking at him like he's crazy. No. They didn't know how to react because they've never been called out on their bullshit their entire lives.
Yep.
And Matt Deggs said, you know what? You're going to F with me. I'm coming after you. And nobody knew what to do. And I was like, shame on Deggs for having that reaction, but shame on the head coach of JMU for not telling his dugout to pipe down. And everybody's like, oh, Coach Ike's just the best guy ever. Well, you know what? There were 4 guys in that dugout versus 1 coach at third base. And after you told him you got this and the guys are still chirping and saying shitty things to the head coach, at that point, you know what? He might have taught them a lesson. If I buy back at you, don't be surprised. Why are you surprised? Oh, so you can say that shit behind your dugout, but you can't say it to my face. And so I'm with Deggs on this one. I appreciate what he did. And when you see Coach Tibb get pissed off, because if you notice in that skirmish, Tibb was kind of pushing him off. And then Tibb heard something and he turned around and started giving it back to that coach.
Yep.
And then my brother pulls and Deggs off, which I thought was the funniest thing ever. Like you can't talk shit and then be shocked when somebody brings it back at you 100 times. That's why when I talk shit on Twitter and people insult me personally, like we're not even talking, I talk a lot of shit about sports and people come out at me personally. I just take it because 1, Twitter's not real life, and 2, I really don't care. My skin is a lot thicker now these days than it used to be. But nobody would say that to my face. You'll say, oh, I'd say it to you. No, you won't. You wouldn't say it to my face. If you would, you would have already. You know where I'm at. We have a tailgate during football season. Ain't nobody came to my face and said shit to me. So I actually agree with him. If you're going to talk shit and I respond in a way and call you out and get in your face, don't be backing off and acting like, oh, I'm the victim. Nah, dude, you're not the victim. You're just getting called out. KG, go ahead.
I've been chomping at the bit this whole time. You want to know what tells the whole story about that whole thing and that nobody has talked about to this point? So obviously the people that watched the game, the incident that happened with Mandino and the incident that happened with Deggs, although they happened back to back, are unrelated. Everything that happened in the dugout is completely unrelated to everything that happened with Mandino. And unfortunate for us, as much as we love John Boy and the coverage that he gives us, his national coverage of that moment made it seem like Deggs' reaction was because of Mandino, and that put Deggs in a bad light, unless you're a Cajun fan or somebody who actually watched the goddamn ball game like we do, and you realize that those two things one of them could have happened in the first inning, one of them could have happened in the ninth, because they were as far unrelated as those two. But the moment that told the whole story about that entire thing was that those boys were chirping until Deggs made his way to that dugout and got in their ass. And if you go back and watch the clip, none of those single players had anything to say until Deggs finally got turned around and pulled away by Coach Doe. And then they got back on the top step and was like, yeah, You had nothing to say when that coach was in your ass on the apron, right? So you want to act all big and freaking bad when he's getting pulled away, but y'all ain't had a peep to freaking say when he was in your ass. And I'm including that assistant coach that was at the bottom of the dugout. And shame on Coach Ike for not having the wherewithal to restrain your players and your assistant coaches. Shame on you. There is a reason that JMU does not care about baseball, and it's clear because that is piss poor leadership. You can take 2 of 3 from me all you want. But if you're going to start talking about players' personal lives and coaches' personal lives and getting really personal with the shit that you yell from a D1 dugout, shame on you. And great on Coach Deggs. If anybody didn't watch it, I really recommend y'all go watch his presser on what happened, because he didn't apologize for a goddamn thing. He said, if the coach ain't going to handle it, I'm going to handle it, because that ain't some shit that I'm playing with. And good for Coach Deggs. You know, we give Deggs a lot of shit for maybe some of the on-field decisions that he makes. But I tell you what, I'm glad that he stood up for himself and his players right there, because that is some bullshit that you have to coach an opposing team's players and assistant coaches because they're not man enough to reel that shit in. Listen, if fans in the stands get a little too drunk and get a little too rowdy and want to do that shit, so be it. But if you hear that kind of language from a dugout full of 20-year-olds and assistant coaches, F that. I'm coming at you too. And the fact that Seth Thibodeau went there to pull Deggs off and heard something that got him in the fight, yeah, that's a problem. So one more thing, Sunbelt Conference, I think that's a piss poor job of your investigation of that entire process, because you missed something. If you got 2 coaches that are literally on the apron of an opposing dugout because of something that went on in that dugout and you didn't do a proper investigation to figure out what was said, that's an indictment on you. But anyway, turn the page to Southern Miss.
Well, no. I want to go back real quick, Mike, before you go. I just want to say, KG, fantastic job. I appreciate the passion. And anybody doubting the words that Matt Deggs said in the presser, I would have kicked any player that talks back to an opposing coach out of the dugout. He's done it before. He has absolutely kicked players out of the dugout. Players
It's called
who
a
still play
standard
for him.
It's called a standard. You got to have one to enforce it.
Yep.
If you don't have a standard, you will never enforce it. Deggs has a standard. The Cajuns baseball has a standard. Great point, Nick. Yeah.
And by the way, you know, following in the same, I'm sorry, Mike, I'm going to go one more time. Following in the same light, cowards like Blaine Saunier who go on X, and I'm saying your name, Blaine Saunier, because you're a coward. You hide behind your real Twitter name and you call him a drunk and an alcoholic and I didn't put the bottle in his hand and he's a piece of shit. You'd never say that to his face. And the reason you wouldn't say it to his face is because you're a coward. And I know you're probably never going to watch this, but I hope somebody clips this and sends it to you, because I have the opportunity. I gave you the opportunity to meet Matt Deggs. And you know what? In his press conference, when he was talking about cowards who go on social media and say whatever they want without repercussions, he was talking about you, buddy. Anyway, go ahead, Mike.
Deggs, I fully support what Deggs did, what Deggs said. I think he nailed it in the interview. And I think it also started on Thursday whenever they struck Lee out and the pitcher turns and yells at Lee. I think he might have said F you. I don't know, but I know specifically he turns at Lee and yells at him. Lee throws the bat, walks towards the field. Props to Lee. The umpires break it up. But it looks like that JMU coach had no control of that dugout. It looks like he has no control of that dugout and that the players run the program. And for them to run their mouth, it had to have crossed the line for Deggs to do that. And for him to do that, props to him, because whenever he did it, not one coach came out the dugout, not one player came out the dugout. The coach, the head coach just stood there, didn't really support or get in front of anybody. They looked really bad whenever it hit the fan. Deggs confronted them, and they did nothing about it. That's when you know, especially when I saw Seth Thibodeau, that's when I knew they crossed the line, because Seth Thibodeau I've never seen Seth Thibodeau do something like that. And when he did it, I knew they crossed the line. That coach had no control of their dugout. And if we're going to go into that Mandino thing, I have no problem with what he did. The only thing is when he dipped his shoulder, I think that's what got the officials to toss him. If he wouldn't have dipped it, he would have really trucked him. No issues with what Mandino did. I'm a Mandino fan. I have no issues with Mandino. I thought what he did was fair. Just don't dip your shoulder. And I completely support what Deggs did.
Yeah, so Nick just texted us on the side and says that he's having some hearing issues. So, but I want to build on that. Man to man, me to you, Mike. I'm the same way. Mandino probably did that out of frustration. This is an upperclassman that's having not a great year, that's got kind of moved around for some younger guys. And, when you hit a weak ground ball like that, or, that gets rolled up the first base line and the dude's waiting on you, there's some frustration in that. So that's the ball player coming out of him. Now, I'm with you. Dipping your shoulder is never okay. Them going to the review for malicious contact, we all knew. We have a group message together. Yep. We all knew it was coming. It wasn't a secret. We all said in the message, he's getting tossed.
Yep.
But I just need what sucks is that the Cajuns in that specific game were painted in such a poor light because of the national attention we got. And what sucks is that the two are completely separate and they got roped together as one. And it's going to lead, it makes the Cajuns look like we were in the wrong when in reality we were in the wrong in one instance, which was the Mandino thing, which he got properly, ejected from the game.
Yep.
And then the other instance is completely unrelated to baseball and was just a group of jackasses in the dugout that wanted to start taking shots at our head coach that is in the third base box, which is, next to the home dugout. So I think we've talked more than enough about this whole thing. I'm hoping that we put it to bed, and I just don't know, man.
My thing is just play the game the right way, respect it. No words from either team should either be said at every game. Once you cross that line, then it's fair game. Play the game respectively. Don't chirp. Beat them on the field, and then you go home. But as soon as you cross that line and there's trash talk and there's F-bombs, don't get mad, because the Saturday, I think both teams slid tackle into each guys on second base. So we tried to take their guys out on second base. They tried to take our guys out. So you could tell things were starting to heat up. So just play the game the right way. Don't chirp. No F-bombs. Play the game respectively. But as soon as you cross that line, man, I think it's fair game.
So I'm getting text messages from Nick. He's going to try to figure it out on the back end about what's going on. But let's put a bow on it, and then we'll move to
Yeah, you do whatever you're doing, man. I don't know what happened with my stuff.
Well, let me talk. Okay, so I got some reverb. Fix that.
I got you. Go ahead, bro.
Okay. So let's put a bow on Southern Miss coming up, and then we'll move on to softball. So my final thoughts on Southern Miss coming up, and this is my challenge to the boys: play with some passion, play like it's a rivalry, because that is your rival. Built-in rivalry since they've been in the league. They're going to be a top 10 team. What more motivation than you need than playing the top 10 ball club? But my challenge is really to the starting pitching, as it kind of has been the last weeks. Starting pitching, go man for man. You got to stay in the fight, because the only way we're going to take the games that we need to win this series is if you stay in the fight. No offense to our back end staff. I think that Parker Smith and Hayden Pearson and Cody Brash are going to do a fine job this weekend when they get their chances. But I need my pitchers to give me 6, 7. You got to stay in the fight, right? And lastly, Cajun Nation, if you're watching, show up to the ballpark tomorrow. Let's have a loud and proud ball. Let's have a loud and proud attendance. Let's give these boys some grace. There's still a lot of ball left. We have built enough of a gap. That way we're not dead in the water, but you got to start playing ball now. So, yeah, man, I'm excited. Like I said earlier, I wish it was 6 o'clock tomorrow night right now.
Cole. All right. Now I'm back. Now we can get things going, right? So we're going to talk softball. You ready? All right, let's talk about the fact that the Cajuns won 2 out of 3 against Troy. And actually, the funniest part about that, I'm not going to go game by game, but the fact that they won 2 out of 3 against Troy in Lamson Park was huge. Coach Allie standing up for her player. So in a similar situation to Mandino against JMU, the Troy player ran into our first baseman, and I'm talking she might have lowered her shoulder or raised her elbow into the so basically the first baseman was trying to make a catch down the first base line, and of course they're looking up, so it doesn't matter where the ball is, she's trying to make the catch, and instead of running out of the lane or kind of bumping into her, she threw her elbow out into the first base player and didn't knock the ball out, but also was not thrown out of the game. So Coach Alley was thrown out of the game for standing up for her player. So in the same exact situation that Mandino was thrown out of the game and suspended for 1 game against JMU, in softball, that's just a normal thing. That's okay. That's okay, KG. It's fine. You can do that. No problem. And by the way, they reviewed the play. They reviewed it. It looked worse on review. And they still upheld that she would not be thrown out the game.
I knew this conversation was coming, Nick. I knew it.
So
honestly, if you
I know I got you fired up earlier, so go ahead now.
No, I'm not gonna light the world on fire with this one, but yeah, it was one of the most obvious reviews of all time. You got a first baseman that's looking up at a pop-up down the first baseline, literally just camped under a pop-up waiting for the ball, and she gets absolutely crushed like a middle linebacker from Troy's base runner, who, by the way, was a big girl. And then when it goes to review, they didn't toss her. I'm like, in what world do we live in? Is that not malicious contact? There's an argument that is what Mandino did is way less malicious than what that girl did. At least what Mandino did, the first baseman had the ball in his glove and was able to watch the contact all the way through and maybe rebound off of it. This is a girl that was literally standing up, staring up in the sky, waiting on a pop-up to come down and got trucked. So yeah, good on Coach Alley for taking up for herself and her team and getting tossed right there, because there's no way as a respectable head coach that you don't get tossed right there. And I'm going to be honest with you, the officiating for that entire weekend for softball was very questionable. Very questionable. And it's another indictment on the Sun Belt Conference for not reviewing and reprimanding their crews. And I will leave it there because, yeah, when I saw it live, Nick, I watched the game live, it was extremely... I was a lot more irate than I am right now. Let me just say that.
Look, and I will say Carl Benson wasn't for everybody, but one, he saved this entire conference by making the moves that he made when he had to make it. But secondly, when Coach Robichaux got tossed, he got tossed one game when he put his hand down to argue with an umpire, he got tossed for making contact with the umpire. And Carl Benson came back and publicly reprimanded the umpiring crew for making the incorrect call. The current commissioner that we have, you never hear from the guy. And so unless it's about us and Texas State's starting to fight and we get the worst repercussions from it. So you want to see things like that be brought to the forefront and saying, hey, we saw this, we reviewed it, and there's going to be something happening as far as the officials go. But our current commissioner doesn't seem willing to do that. Keith Gill just wants to keep everything under wraps. It sounds very much like our old administration, if I'm being honest with you.
He wasn't brought in here to take care of Diamond Sports. Let's quit sugarcoating that.
But what sport was he? He was supposed to be the basketball guy.
Football
what have we
and
done
basketball.
There? Nothing.
Football drives the bus, and he was known for being a basketball guy. I'm not saying Keith Gill doesn't care about Diamond Sports, but he don't. And what sucks for him is that the Sun Belt is a diamond sport conference. Like, as much as you think you care about football and basketball, softball and baseball are carrying the water of this conference. There's an argument that both of those leagues, softball and baseball, are a power four in the baseball and softball world. So yeah, you better, if you don't care about baseball and softball, you better damn well get to caring about them, because we're carrying the water. These are two very, very, very good leagues. And it feels like as much a success as we had in both of them, every year we get questionable officiating. Every year.
Every year it gets worse.
and listen, being an umpire, and I know there's maybe some that watch us, being an umpire is a hard job. It is. And, you get a lot of shit from coaches, from players, from fans, especially at the D1 level. But when you're a conference that is that good, in the fight for being a power four, I know that's a football term, but it's usable here. You should have upper tier umpires, and every year we don't. Like it's questionable officiating. I've seen plenty of times at the Teague where a ball bounces in front of the warning track and hops over the wall, and they call it a home run. I've seen it probably 3 or 4 times in the past 5 years.
Well, dog,
So,
I'm just
I'm giving
excited
an
that we have
example. I'm
four
just giving an example.
umpires. I
That's a
mean, we're
big
thrilled
step.
to have that.
That's a big step forward, no doubt. No doubt. That's a big step forward, especially if you're going to be a serious conference contender.
Which, by the way, would have been helpful last night at Southeastern when our right fielder made a catch and there was not video evidence to overturn the call, but he clearly made the catch and threw it to first. But the guy who would be at first base looking directly at the play was at second base because they only had 3 umpires.
And I think that's actually more of an indictment on Southeastern's production crew, because if that is the only camera angle that we had on that play, that's horrible.
But hey, they led the nation in double plays in 2007, brother.
And I believed, like if you read in Donnie LaSalle's body language, I fully believed he caught it. And I don't want to be biased just because we're UL fans, but Donnie has never, ever done something like that. And for him to be so confident to hurry up and challenge, and I fully believe he caught it. I think they just didn't have the quality of equipment.
A guy that traps that ball in that situation in outfield, and as a guy that played outfield, if I trap the ball in that situation and I know I didn't catch it, I'm coming up and I'm throwing it to the bag, to maybe third or second where the runner is. I'm not coming up throwing to first if I'm that confident that I made that catch. And that's exactly what he did. The dude came up throwing to first base and he's like, I caught that. Like he literally he did this.
Yeah.
And then you go to replay and the only camera angle you got is from behind home plate through a net that looks like it was caught on a freaking 2007 Nokia. And anyway, but that's neither here nor there. I really don't want to, waste our time talking about Sunbelt umpires. That's about as bottom of the barrel as
Nokia phones, bruh. How about we turn our attention to softball this upcoming weekend? What we got on the agenda?
Well, let's recap real quick. I'm going to give you the full rundown. Cajun softball moves to 22-18 overall, 5-7 in Sunbelt, which moves them tied for 8th. Think about that. They're a game under 500 in Sunbelt Conference play, and that ties them for 8th. That's how good the conference is as far as competition goes. Their RPI is sitting at 46, which is pretty similar to what the baseball team is looking like. Last Friday, they lost to Troy 4-5. They had a late rally by the Cajuns wasn't enough to overcome Troy's early lead. On Saturday, they beat Troy 11-7. Cajuns had a very explosive 8-run inning earlier on in the game, and that powered them to that win. And then Saturday, a very exciting walk-off win by Michaela Ferguson, who lined a walk-off single in the bottom of the 8th. I believe it was 2 outs to take that win. So good job, Michaela, right there. Midweek action on the 8th, they lost to number 21 Virginia 4-5. It was a very tight one, but the Cajuns' rally at the end fell a little bit short. This week in hitting, though, here's a couple of the top performers. Mia Norwood had a breakout performance against Virginia, going a perfect 4-for-4 at the plate. So shout out to Mia against the number 21 team in the country, going 4-for-4. Kennedy Marceau has been very steady in the month of April, holding a 342 average. She also picked up a double in that game against Virginia. And lastly, Deja Williams, who has been a factor on the base paths and at the plate. She's hitting 319 in April and went 2-for-3 with a triple and a run scored against Virginia, showing off her wheels. One of the fastest players, if not the fastest player on the Cajun softball team. This week in pitching, this past week, we did allow 16 runs over 3 games versus Troy. Keep in mind we took 2 of 3, so you're not going to beat a dead horse there. You're just glad you got the series win. But they did show significant improvement against Virginia, only holding them to 5 runs. And keep in mind, that's a top 25 Virginia team. Julianne Tipton has emerged as a constant strikeout threat since the calendar has flipped to April. And Sage Hoover has shouldered most of the starts in this month, acting as the team's current primary starter. This week, they will play James Madison in a 3-game set in Virginia. So that is your look at Cajun softball over the past week and what's to come. Again, just like the boys, it's weird how they mirror each other. A lot of season left for both of these ball clubs.
Mike, give me your in-depth take on softball this season. I'm kidding, man. Don't do that.
I was about to say.
Just wanted to catch you off guard. I know you've been drinking. It looks like you're drinking the twisted tea or something, so you're feeling good at this point, you know? Yeah. All right, I like that. I don't see you drink often on the show. I know you drink during the show. I'm disappointed in you, KG.
Oh, wait. There's a story.
Talk to me.
So last home series, our boy Bam Williams, Big Bam Williams, won his height in Bud Light at the Cajuns baseball game.
I saw that.
So he was gifted many cases of Bud Light. Now keep in mind, Bam Williams is a Natty Light and Miller Light drinker. So when we got back to the tailgate, he said, "Hey, you drink cold beer?" I said, "You bet your ass I do." He said, "You want 6 cases of Bud Light?" So if you open this fridge right here, let me count. I got about three cases of Bud Light left that I have to go through. So do not fault Cole Gilbo for drinking some free-ass cold beer, baby.
So I'm assuming we're over the trans identity Bud Light thing at this point. Free beer is free beer, right?
I mean, I guess, who is it? Post Malone? Post Malone and Shane Gillis made it cool again when they started doing those commercials together.
Look, if Shane Gillis and Post Malone make it okay, then I'm all right with that. I guess I could buy into it. Good stuff as always, Cole. We appreciate it. Let's take a look around the Sun Belt as far as baseball goes. Conference standings, Coastal Carolina, the sole team on top, riding high right now, and they're pretty far ahead of everyone with an 11-1 conference record, followed by Texas State at 8-4. Southern Miss and ULM tied for third at 7-5. Then you have a logjam after that at 6-6 with Arkansas State, South Alabama, James Madison, Troy, and Marshall, all at 6-6. App State follows that by 5-7. And then rounding out the rest of the conference with a gleaming 4-8 record, Louisiana, Old Dominion, Georgia State, and Georgia Southern. Woof. Let's take a look at the Sun Belt schedule for this weekend. James Madison travels to Georgia State. That series set to kick off tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock, along with a 5 o'clock start at Marshall, where they play host to Old Dominion. And App State will host ULM this weekend in Boone, North Carolina. Coastal Carolina travels to Arkansas State for a 3-game conference series. I look forward to that one. That should be an interesting series to keep an eye on. Troy travels to Texas State. Of course, Southern Miss comes to God's country, Louisiana, the Lafayette kind, starting at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. And then Georgia Southern plays host to South Alabama in conference play as well. What, KG?
You missed a golden opportunity to say the real Hub City. Because they love to argue. They love to argue with us about Hub City. I ain't trying to hear none of that
with us
shit.
about everything because they've never been out of Hattiesburg. They don't like when you've never been out of the city. You do think that's the only thing on the face of the earth, even though we're like 3 times the size of them. But go ahead. Getting
back to it though, that Coastal and Arkansas State series is going to be one to watch. That's one I'm going to have up on my phone, paying attention to. And listen, I know Arkansas State has been scuffling here and there the past couple of weeks, but we know what Mike Silva has done with that ball club, and I know that they brought a lot of production back from a team last year that was really good. Arkansas State, and I said this earlier, if they do end up being a regional team, they're going to be an absolute nightmare because that's going to be a headache to get them out of a tournament. And I know they're going to give Coastal problems this weekend because I think they have enough dudes on that team to get it done.
Arkansas State and Texas State are a problem in the Sun Belt right now.
By the way, Texas State is on track to hit 120 home runs this season, right? And I don't want to be accounted for it, but the Cajuns may have kickstarted them well on their way. Yeah. But no, Texas. And one more thing we didn't talk about earlier, Nick, and I got this information from Jeff Pruitt. Shout out to Mr. Jeff. Love talking to him at the tailgates. He brought to our attention that 52% of the games that Cajun baseball has played to this point has been against teams that are ranked 30th or higher in home runs. Now, whether that's because of us or just because there's 2 sides to every coin, baby. And me and Mr. Jeff joked about that. But the point still stands. You played over 50% of your ball games against teams that are ranked in the top 30 in home runs. Maybe that does have something to do about why our numbers are so inflated when it comes to giving up home runs. So little tidbits like that, I love seeing. I love getting feedback from fans, and I was glad that Mr. Jeff gave me that information.
By the way, did y'all see how upset Texas State fans were that they weren't listed in the winter lead for the Bubba's Cup? Yo, bring out your Bubba Cup. There you go. Dude. They don't understand how stupid they look about the stupid cup that nobody cares about except for them.
If they send me a decal, I'll put it on here, and then they could also send me a mailing address. I'll mail them a Bubba Cup. If they're that desperate for one, I hope the Pac-12 has a Bubba's Cup.
Oh God, Please do.
Or maybe a big gulp cup. They need a big gulp cup.
Oh.
I hope the Pac-12 got something.
I hope they put it on their resume when they went to the Pac-12. Like they still think that the 2-pack is freaking.
Sorry, Nick. The Pac State, not the
Pac
Pac-12.
State.
The Pac State.
They still think that's a power conference, but
Yeah.
oh, dude, the people who never did anything in one conference thinking that they're okay. Anyway, I'm just gonna shut up now because you can't argue with idiots. They always think they're right. Let's go to Grammys, brought to you by Eat Lafayette, part of Lafayette Travel. Tonight, we're talking about the Masters, and I asked both of you boys earlier, who do you think is the Masters favorite, or I guess who is your pick to win the Masters this year? Look, I'm gonna go with my boy Scotty Scheffler because, of course, he's got a Lafayette caddy, and I'm always gonna back him up. I will say Justin Rose is due. He's always been the bridesmaid, never the bride. So I would not be upset if Justin Rose won it all this year. But I was watching Scheffler on a hole before we came here. I was watching a little bit. I think he was 2 under par, going for the birdie on a 4-foot putt. And man, it's like the green at the last minute just took that ball right before he got to the hole, and my heart sank for that dude. Now, look, the first day of the Masters, the only thing you want to do is not play yourself out of it. So he's in good shape. But man, that was I was like, man, he could have gotten one stroke, closer to. I think 5 under par was leading at the time, so he could have inched a little bit closer. But man, so anyway, I'm getting off subject. I'm picking Scheffler, but I'm kind of like as a dark horse, not dark horse, but I think Justin Rose is fit for the win this year. Go ahead, KG. What do you think?
No, I'm glad that you phrased it like that because I also had a front runner and then a dark horse. So, but I love what you said about having a Lafayette caddy. It's almost like the Kentucky Derby, right? When you watch the horses run, you always seem to pull for those guys that are from the Lafayette, area.
What was his name with no teeth? When he won the Kentucky Derby years ago? Not Delahousie, but I can't remember his name. And he just wins the Derby and he gets on TV and he's like, I like to take my mama. And I'm like, oh shit.
Well, I mean, if we're going to take this time, I mean, we had a Hernandez win the Kentucky Derby a couple years ago. By the way, Hernandez graduated from Acadiana High School and lives in Judice, Louisiana. So, but then you can go to Catahoula and you got all them boys out in Catahoula that have won multiple derbies. So, South Louisiana is a hotbed for jockeys over here. But anyway, we're getting away from golf.
Yeah.
Anyway, love the dirt. By the way, love Derby time. We start placing a lot of bets around Derby time. But anyway, my front runner and I'm not a big golfer, but and Mike can attest to this, we have a lot of friends that play a lot of golf. And my favorite part about golfing, even though I don't swing a club, is getting on that golf cart with a ice chest full of beer, and I'll drive them boys around and just get casseed all day long. It's a time. But it's hard. My thing is that you got to knock off a champion. And I think Rory winning last year, the monkey was always on his back that he couldn't win the big one, right? He couldn't win the big one. And he almost gave the big one away last year and found a way to get it done. I'm going to go with Rory because I would love to see back-to-back Masters. I mean, dude, that would be awesome to me. But as my dark horse, and I've always been a fan of this guy, he's always just been a notch below Colin Morikawa. Colin Morikawa, I think, is sitting right underneath those big-name guys that you see. I would love for Colin to have a big weekend and maybe do something. So I'm going to say Rory is my front runner just because I want to see him double up on Masters back-to-back year. And then Colin, I've always been a fan of Colin kind of behind the scenes. I'm looking maybe for him to have a really good week and see what he can do at the end.
How cool is this shit here? James made a custom gold ball marker for Scotty Scheffler for the Ryder Cup. Now that's cool. That is really cool.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Mike. What are your picks?
Cool. I will say me and you need to take Luke golfing. That way we could drink and let him play golf and go ride him around. But I will say
only if we bring Derek, because I want to see them two argue the whole day, and me and you can drink together.
Okay.
100%. By the way, for the fans at home, Luke Burbank, I've said his name 100,000 times. Big fan of the pod.
Cooks a hell of a gumbo. I was gonna say
has cooked at our tailgate. We go to his back patio. Him and his brother Derek, his older brother Derek, get after it. It could be washers, cornhole, golf, softball, you name it, they getting after each other's ass. By the way, Derek Burbank is a massive LSU fan, and Luke Burbank is not. So that makes it even more fun. You get them two boys on a golf course together, shit talking flies like a portalet at Mardi Gras, I can promise you.
And Derek is trying to cheat at everything.
Well, of course he's an LSU fan. That's what they do.
He is trying to cheat. But, hey, Luke did cook for me last night. He cooked a meatball stew, texted me, said, come grab a plate, which we did. So props to Luke, thanks. But as far as the Masters, I've always been a big Max Homa fan. I like Max Homa. I think he's really good. He's just hasn't been at the top of every tournament. But looking at these, Jordan Spieth, Rory, I like Rory. Not a lot of people like Rory. I like Rory, Bryson DeChambeau. But I will have to say I will go with Scotty Scheffler. I just like everything about him.
He's due. He's due.
He's due. I like his character. I like the way he plays the game. I like he's huge into his faith. He's at the top notch. He's one of the best golfers in the PGA. I'm just a huge Scheffler fan.
By the way, I heard your wife laughing in the background, so she's listening. She's got to come show her face. Tell her to come say hi. No,
Maybe
she can hear me. Come say. Oh, she left. She left the room, didn't she? Yeah. Of course she did. Of course she did. Okay, that's fine.
Here's what's funny about it, Nick. So Luke is one of my best friends, and Derek is one of Mike's best friends. That's why we always get after each other's ass with shit like, especially with golf. Them two dudes take golf so damn seriously. It's hilarious. That's why me and Mike need to just go ride around and follow them for a day and just drink the whole day.
Yeah, we just drink and we let them go at it.
I golf just badly. I mean, because I don't care. Like everybody gets all pissed off. I shanked it. I don't.
That's what Top Golf's for. That's what Top Golf's for. You go get a bucket full of beer and you can shank it into the net as much as you want. It's about the drinking, baby. Anyway,
there you go. You know, they have these awesome deals at the Masters with $1.50 sandwiches, like, you know, $2 beers, which we could learn from. Do y'all get into things like making pimento sandwiches? Do y'all like that? I mean, I know my neighbor's gonna do it on Sunday, and I'm boiling crawfish because I'm a coon ass, and that's what I'm doing to watch it on Sunday. But do y'all get into the pimento sandwiches and all that? I know people do that I think they do it for the Derby too, don't they?
Yeah, but I'll say this. I'm not making them, but the fat ass that I am, if you put one on a plate in front of me, I'm going to knock it out. I promise you. I promise you. There's not very many things on this earth that I won't eat. Coconut, you could throw that in the tallest of tall grasses you can find in South Louisiana. Throw anything coconut as far away as you can. Oh, we did this on the last show. Coconut.
Yep. We talked about that. We've been through this already. Okay?
Now, I like peppermints that you eat like a normal peppermint, you know, whatever, but like a peppermint patty. If I wanted to eat.
Okay, we need to talk about that actually. So talking about the peppermint patty, you've been to Piccadilly in Lafayette, and they had the little shawls you could go up the steps and eat in the special place, or you can go in the booths and all that.
Yep, no doubt.
But my question is, like, when you get to the end and you pay, like, didn't you not ask your mama for those little mint chocolate?
Ever.
Like, those were the best.
Ever in my life, ever.
What is wrong with you?
If I wanted to eat toothpaste, I would go in my bathroom and just take the tube and.
That's not
that
toothpaste. It's
terrible.
good.
No.
So you don't like Thin Mints with like Girl Scout cookies?
No,
what?
sir. Oh, no,
I can eat it all day.
Well, good for y'all.
That's what she said.
That's terrible. Y'all can have my box. Actually, you would have to fight Blair for my box. Blair loves that. That's terrible. That's just terrible. Terrible.
You're serious right now?
Do they have a Natty Light Girl Scout cookie?
Hey,
a Natty Light Girl Scout cookie?
Girl Scout cookie.
Might be on to something.
Call Cat. He's getting a little drunk here.
Call Cat.
Anyway.
Oh goodness. Yeah, we've gone off the rails.
Rage and Review After Dark is about that time.
Yeah, I'm trying to edit a picture real quick. That's why I'm kind of distracted, but I don't think it's gonna let me because I think oh no, I can do it right here. Hold on.
Is that what you were asking for earlier?
No, I don't know what I was at, dude. I'm so off right now.
Hey, me and Nick played at Scott Park.
Oh, look who's tuning in. Luke Burbank says tag-alongs all day. That is my boy. You give me a box of tag-alongs, they ain't gonna be there in the morning. I promise you.
What is a tag-along?
That's the peanut butter cookies.
Oh, I thought that was a coconut one. I'm gonna be like, "Bah, you."
No, sir. Them
The Thin
tagalongs,
Mints.
that's the chocolate covered peanut butter cookies. You give me that with a
Oh,
glass of
gotcha.
milk, good night.
The
Gotcha.
Thin Mints are the best ones. The chocolate Thin
Man,
Mints.
Mike.
But you see, I mean, I like the Thin Mints, but I'm not going to go as far as to say that those are the best ones. I mean, they are aight. You know?
I'm getting 3 boxes every time a little girl comes up and tries to sell.
That's terrible. You might as well put a little white and red peppermint in your mouth and then a little Hershey's Kiss in your mouth at the same time. That's
still don't-
literally what
I
y'all
really
eat.
don't
That's
get the
just
hatred,
terrible.
bro. But I
That's
don't get
terrible.
the hatred. But you
That's
know what?
terrible.
I'm not gonna hate on you for that. All right, boys. Let's go to one last thing that I want to challenge our viewers on. This might be easy. This might not be easy. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. But I've got 3 photos that I'm gonna share with you guys.
Oh, man.
And this is from our T-ball days because we were talking about T-ball today. The guy on top is a Rage and Reviewer. And I'm interested to see who everyone thinks this might be. Is it Mike? Is it KG? Or is it me? Could be Josh. It could be Jared. Well, no, Jared never played a sport in his life.
And if he
could
did,
be
it wasn't.
Lane.
If he did, it wasn't around here. So.
Yeah, it went around here. Who do you think this is? I'm interested. Nobody's commenting. This is not going well.
You wanna go
KG, who
around?
do you? Well, no, that would give it away if I asked you who you thought it was.
Well, I mean, let's feed into it. So I'm just gonna give the specifics of the photo. The big S on the hat should be a dead giveaway to anybody that lives around here. That is Scott Park. That is the iconic big ass S that Scott Park has, or it should be. If it's not, that's maybe a knock on me. But Scott Park, forever back in the 90s, had that big ass S, maybe even into the 80s. So I'm gonna say it's got to be Jerry's out the picture. Gotta be. I
like how we all wrote off Jerry like.
Well, I
that
mean,
dude
he's
never
from
played
he's-
competitive sports.
Well, he's from NOLA. For him, it'd probably be a big ass J because all he is Mr. Jesuit. By the way, where did you go to high school? But anyway, the big ass S has got to be for somebody from Scott. I'm gonna leave it at there. I want to see if anybody guesses it.
Well,
I got my thoughts, but I want to let y'all have the floor.
I'm gonna give it away. Our guy Luke came in here and got it right. It's T Mike. That's T Mike right there. My brother, good job. I like that a lot. That that smile never went away, dude.
If you say we're not credible about talking about UL baseball, go back to these pictures. Hey, we played some ball back in the day.
You know
We
what?
we're
When they
talking
say you
about.
never played the game in your life, kiss my ass. Okay, that's
We
all I
know what
gotta
we're
say.
talking about.
All right, let's go to number 2. Let's see who this person is. Who do you think is in that picture? Again, it could be anybody from Rage and Review. It could be people who used to be on Rage and Review, people still on Rage and Review. It could be
There
somebody
it is.
here.
But Nick, look, the big ass S. Somebody
With
from
that
Scott.
S.
I'm telling you, that is the iconic Scott, Louisiana S on them hats.
And you were the Marlins, whoever that is. The Marlins, ball. Why are you going down here? With the you're not down with the Marlins?
Not the Marlins.
Hey, that's a pretty sweet. I mean, for a T-ball jersey, that teal looks good. I'm just gonna tell y'all. I see some ugly ass T-ball jerseys. That ain't one of them.
I don't think we're fooling anybody right here.
Yeah, that's.
I don't think everybody.
And
everybody's,
I think it's because though a lot of people know who Greg Gilbo is. If it was just me in that picture, we probably would have got away with it. But my daddy, a lot of people know Greg Gilbo. I'm just saying.
Your dad gives it away in that picture 100%.
No
my
doubt
mom,
about
when she met your dad, she was like, "Man, he's tall."
Oh yeah, that's a big man.
Yeah.
The
Man,
only
why
reason
Cole's not tall like him? I'm like,
the
Mama.
only reason I stopped at 5'10" is because my mama is sitting at 5 foot.
That's why-
Thank you, mama.
That's what I told my mom because my brothers are like tall and I was like, yeah, why I got your height? But of course they don't have hair on their head.
And listen, I'm glad that RC said it. If anybody knows my son personally, Case, he does look exactly like me in the face. Now he has blonde hair and blue eyes, but his expressions are me to a freaking T. And that
is
face that
scary.
I'm making in that picture is literally Case Gilbo. I can promise you.
Yep.
That is funny. All right. One last person that is either on this pod right now, on the show right now, or not on this show right now. I'll let y'all guess. Cole. That was quick.
I mean, look,
We got
again,
another Scott.
we 3 for 3 on Scott, Louisiana, baby.
Hey, ball.
we just
got a lot
pulled
of Scott people. Hey, Josh played at Sats. I played at Sats. Jerry didn't.
I'll just say this. If that's not you, Nick, I give up because the cheeks are a dead giveaway. You still have the same cheeks now as you did in that picture.
You know what's funny? That's Doug.
Stop it.
RC, come on now, Mom.
Oh, I was about to say. I thought you were serious. I was like,
No.
that's Doug Edwards.
Look,
we got
that
something to
is-
talk about.
That is the day I lost my tooth at the ballpark. That tooth is probably still like it's going to be oil in like 200 years because that got buried in the dirt at Scott Park in one of the T-ball fields before you know it was all turf. So,
Man, what a shout out. This is a commercial for Scott Park T-ball. Huh?
Right?
you see,
Golly.
and I was choking up on the back. Hell yeah, my daddy would kick my ass if I didn't choke up. That's all you heard when you got at the
Two-strike
little
approach.
T.
And to this day, Nick is still choking and poking, baby.
Not as much as the guy on Twitter. Whatever, you know. Anyway.
All right, man. We need to go to bed. We got a game to play tomorrow.
After dark. Yeah.
We got a game to play.
Slice Eye was in Karen Crow, right? That was Karen Crow.
Slice Eye was behind Nealon, behind the rubber
Oh,
show
yeah,
center.
yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
What was Karen Crow? Was some
K-Side.
K-Side, Slice Eye. Yeah, I always got confused with that.
Yep.
Oh man, that was fun.
Great.
It's fun
That was
throwing it
very
back
fun.
a little bit. We
Good
need
job.
to do some more throwbacks like that, you know,
Yes.
as we go for whatever reasons. It's just always good to say, hey, you know, when people say you never played baseball, well, guess what, bitch, we did. Might have been T-ball, but we played back in the day. SWA, Luke. All right, boys and girls. Well, thank y'all for joining us tonight. It has been a lot of fun. We've covered a lot of topics, got into the weeds on a lot of things. And by the way, this is my cousin, Zachary Richard, taking us out on some Who Sold That Monkey tonight. So for my boy KG, for Mike, for all the boys who aren't here, we appreciate you for tuning in. We'll see you back on Sunday after the Southern Miss series to talk about whatever happened this weekend, who knows. But for all the boys at Rage and Review, hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And until next time, as always, we tell you, go Cajuns.